All right, we've got 3 topics to go through. This is, got this out because we're going to try to do an electronic call in here. Gentleman couldn't make it, so he's from New Orleans. But we've got some great guests here from OpenGov, and we'll start off with our friend here from Mississippi Development Authority. So, audience, we'd like to begin every one of our meetings with prayer and the pledge. And this evening, Alderman Harry Williams is going to lead us in prayer, and Alderman Chris Vinson is going to lead us in pledge as we begin this work session. Please.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings you give us. Be with us, Lord, tonight as we do the business of the city of Brandon, Lord, that we look to you for our strength and guidance. Lord, we thank you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon Brandon, and continue to keep your hand upon us. Lord, continue to be with our police, our fire, our first responders here and around the world as they protect us and protect our freedoms. Once again, thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. Forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. All right, we've got a couple of slides here. As much as some of you like PowerPoint stuff, you're going to get inundated with some things tonight, but some of this is going to be real time. It's going to be great if we can get it on screens in front of you when OpenGov gets up here and when Placer AI gets up here. So we got 3 things to accomplish, and really appreciate Mr. Court being here this evening. So we're going to start off with him. I'll turn this over to you, and let's just let you drive, throw it over, and your 2 slides are up there.
All right, thank you, Mayor. It's good to see you. All right. How's everybody doing this evening? Well, I'm at your disposal, but the mayor asked me to come in and talk to you a little bit. He'd heard a presentation, I think, that I had given a couple of maybe weeks or months ago, and to kind of tee this up, maybe you want to just share some background on that.
First introduction was, except knowing the name and the face from afar, was exposure at MML, and I tell you, I took a liking to him immediately because you had someone in the audience that shot at you with a quiver of arrows there trying to get you to step off into something. You handled it very professionally. And I know you're doing the right thing for the state of Mississippi, and I appreciate you, and I assure you that this board appreciates you. But some of your message, I'd like to get into some of these department heads and all of our minds here as a community, because you speak to building a better community that is receptive and open to investment by commercial and industrial properties, and we're keen on that right now, and then the data centers, of course. So please,
sure.
Thank you for being here.
Well, look, I got 1 slide. There it is. It'll be easy to remember because it's 5 Ps. I usually only do 3 things, but I couldn't get them all into 3 things, so I had to do 5. But let me just share with you, when I go into communities to talk about, y'all have that on your screens? Is it on there? All right, they're booted up. All right. Well, I'm going to make this so easy you don't even need to see the screen.
There you go.
Look, the most important answer, or most important question that I get when I reach out to communities throughout Mississippi, and I've been to all 82 counties, probably 100 cities, and done work in over half the counties closing projects. The most common question that I get from people who don't win projects is, why don't you ever bring a project to my town? And I think it's a fair question. I don't think it comes from a bad place, but I don't think it's a very well-informed question because, as you probably all know, companies decide where they go. If I had a magic wand and could tap a county or a city and say, you're going to get a data center or you're going to get a major advanced manufacturer, I'd be doing that all over and everybody'd have one, but that's not how it works. And I think the more important question that communities should be asking is not, why didn't I get it or why didn't you bring me something? It's, what could I be doing to win? Because there's an answer to that question. And in 30 years of doing this business, working all over the United States and spending the last 10 years in Mississippi in all 82 counties, there's something that I've learned over time. I didn't get this out of a textbook. This is just my thinking about what it takes to win. When I see winning communities and those that are successful, what are the ingredients that are common to all of those communities that are winning projects? And so that's what I'd like to share with you this evening. Now, I've got bronchitis from having the flu for the last week, so I'd be happy to have you interrupt me anytime you want to ask any questions that you have. And we can talk about anything about MDA or data centers or whatever you want to talk about. But this is the message I want to leave with you today. And this is not going to be foreign to you, but maybe it'll give you some language and an organizing framework that you can use when you're communicating with your constituents and other people in the community about how to get organized for success. The first thing that I tell communities, and this is almost a fatal blow, is if you do not have political alignment. And what do I mean by when I say political alignment? I mean that you get basically unanimous votes for everything related to economic development. If that's a good indicator that you have political alignment on any issue, really. And when I came to Hancock County to interview for the job down there 10 years ago, I really wasn't looking for a job. I was being recruited, and I got through the interview process, and at the very end, one of the port commissioners at the Hancock County Port and Harbor Commission asked me, "What do you need from us to be successful?" Which I think is a very good question to ask anybody you're interviewing, because you know what you want from them, but what do they want from you? And I said, look, there's 8 votes on this commission. There's 5 votes on the Board of Supervisors. I've got to get through both steps to get anything done. The only thing I'm asking for you is 13 votes for everything I ask you for. And they all laughed at me. Like, we haven't given you 13. That's never happened in the history of Hancock County, and it's not going to start today. And I said, well, if you want me to come here and help you do this work, I expect you to give me 13 votes or don't hire me. And the reason for that is we're not finding cures for cancer. We've been building communities and civilizations since we crawled out of a cave. If you've got to take a principled stand over a water line project and make a fuss over it, we're probably not going to get along very well. So don't hire me. This is not hard work, but it is work. And I'm not going to bring you anything that you can't get behind. That'll be my promise to you. The rest of that interview was about that topic. What does that mean? I don't want to get into a situation where I'm that guy that has to vote no and run you out of town. And I said, to make sure we're serious about this, I'm going to take this job if you offer it to me, but I'm going to rent an apartment for 1 year. And then we're both going to decide at the end of the 1 year whether this is working for both of us. Well, 10 years later, I'm at MDA. The first 4.5 years I was in Hancock County, I got yes votes for every single thing, hundreds of resolutions, all of our construction projects. I never had one vote that was not a yes vote, except for 2. One of them was we decided to outsource our grass mowing contract. We had a bunch of inside folks doing it, and these are Bubba's now. Everybody's brother and brother-in-law, they all had a job. And it was costing us a fortune. We had injuries, insurance going up, tractors that had to be replaced. I said, I'm just going to hire a contractor to do this work. And so we took the bids, and the low bidder was the guy that bid $90,000 a year for about $1 million contract per year. So we had to throw that bid out. Turns out that was the brother of one of the supervisors. And so I took it to the board, the next vote, we had the next level guy get the job, and the supervisor voted no on the contract. And he apologized before he did it. He said, Bill, I'm sorry, but I got to vote no, because if I don't vote no on this contract, my brother is not going to speak to me at Christmas time. He got a pass. The second vote was over my contract 4 years later, and within 3 months I was gone. So I say all that to say I'm not anything special, but you can get political alignment if you seek it, okay? And then you got to maintain it. And there's only one group of people in this board and this room that can assure that that happens, and that's the elected officials at this table. Nobody else is responsible for that alignment but you. And so that's my first thing. And then what do we align around? We align around a policy, a vision. That vision has to be established and maintained, and the political alignment has to be maintained. And so that's my first P, is political alignment behind a good, solid policy development. The second thing is, there is no such thing, and I don't have to tell you this, there's no such thing as a free lunch. You'd be surprised how many communities in Mississippi I talk to that say, all I want's a grant, just give me the money. You don't need to worry about what it's for, we got this. Well, what's your match? We don't have one, okay? I can tell you from literally in the last 6 years administrating probably over $300 million in discretionary funds, over $1 billion in disaster recovery and other funds, that there's a formula for winning grants at MDA. And I'm not ashamed to tell you what it is. You need to have a 4 to 5 year plan for what you want to try to accomplish, and you need to have a multiple source and uses of funds schedule to tell you how you're going to pay for it, and you got to have skin in the game. And if you don't have those things, the chance that you're going to win a grant from MDA goes from way here to way down here. And you would be surprised at how many communities don't have the ability to do just those few simple things. Just bring us a plan. Tell me what you're trying to accomplish. Tell me how you're going to pay for it. Can we do it over multiple years? How much skin do you have in the game? Those answers are easy to answer. Sometimes they're hard, especially for smaller rural communities that don't have a lot of tax base. But that's what it's going to take to win. And every one of these grants that we've awarded for site development or for community development grants or small municipal grants, all the coastal money, all that's got to be tied to a strategy if you want to have a good success of winning, because there's a lot of competition for scarce resources in the state. So I just tell people, get a plan, get your program funding together, put a budget together, make it transparent, keep a line behind it, and your chances of program funding at the state goes up. But you'll have to have skin in the game. The next thing is people. If you want to win in economic development, it's not rocket science, as I mentioned. They were building civilizations in Roman times, in ancient Egypt, the Aztecs. Our indigenous people here in America were all building civilizations. They know how to do commerce, they knew how to trade, they knew how to build transportation and logistics. What we're not doing is we're not doing rocket science. But what we are doing is science. It's not complicated, but it is. And you need good people that can execute on that promise. And in economic development, those are typically hard to find people that have multidisciplinary talents that can deal with engineers and finance and grant writing and environmental considerations and dealing with across the table from corporate CEOs. That's a lot to ask of anybody, but those people are out there. And guess what? They're not cheap. Right, Garrett? Okay, just checking. So, I tell people, if you want to win, you should hire good people and then let them do their job. The next is a saying that my friend Jay Garner, who's one of the world's renowned site selection consultants, says, no product, no project. There are a lot of communities in Mississippi that wish they had a big project come in, but they don't have any product. And what does that mean? It means you got to have some kind of real estate play that's zoned industrial or commercial or whatever you're trying to do. It's got to be utility served or a plan to get a utility served in a very quick period of time. You've got to have a value proposition for that potential tenant, customer, prospect that's coming into that site. And it's got to you got to include in that value proposition what you're going to do as a community to help them steward those resources, what their tax environment's going to be like, what their permitting environment's going to be like, what the workforce and the population is like, crime rates, public health, public safety, all those things constitute your product. Do you know what it is? How is it going to sell, and how do you sell it credibly to the rest of the world? That's what product portfolio means. So when I come into a community very quickly, or we pick up the phone at MDA and call and say, okay, I've got this prospect on the phone, here are their requirements. Can you have somebody pick up the phone at the other end and say, I've got exactly that, and here it is, and I can answer that question very quickly. Speed to market is the most important incentive. The governor's fond of saying this, because I taught it to him, that you want to help companies go from spending money to making money the fastest. That's really what you as public officials can do, is steward a process that gets a company from spending money to making money the fastest. Let me give you an example. One of the reasons why we won the Aluminum Dynamics project, which is a multi-billion-dollar project in the Golden Triangle, was because we could deliver that project 3 months faster than Louisiana could. And we knew from our market intelligence that was the case. They still had a good site, they had power, they had water, they had all the things, but they had to do some permitting work and they had to do some site clearing work that we didn't have to do, which would have saved them about 3 months. When you look at the balance sheets and the income statements of a typical aluminum company at the size that we were talking about, and we did this research, we realized that a company in full production would be making about $300 million in net operating revenue per quarter. So if you are 3 months slower than your next competitor, You just cost that company potentially $300 million in net operating income. So for CEOs that are making those financial decisions, where do you think they're going to go? All things being equal. So speed is really, really critical. And that product is the key to speed. That's why we spend so much money on site development grants and helping these communities develop industrial parks. We've spent almost $300 million with local match developing industrial parks across the state, over 30 sites that we're working on, including sites right here in Rankin County that have benefited from that program. So getting that plan, getting that program funding, focusing on hiring good people and developing your product, you're now in a position where you can win. And then the last P is performance metrics. You know, I had a very transparent process wherever I worked in economic development. The last two public bodies I worked for, not including MDA, but I was 10 years in Texas and I was 4.5 years in Hancock County and working for public bodies before I came to the state. I insisted that our government bodies had a Government Finance Officers Association certified budget and certified audited financial statements. What does that mean? That encourages a level of transparency in your budgeting and your accounting processes that signals to the world exactly what this budget is for, what you hope to accomplish, and it's recognized nationally as a testament to your level of transparency. At Hancock County, we were one of 8 public bodies in the state of Mississippi to receive that designation on our comprehensive financial audit. And we were the only public body to have that for a budget. Where's the CFO? Are you the CFO lady? You're looking like you're shaking your head. Okay. I know this sounds like an extra step and maybe costs a little bit of money, but the reality is it's a good way to start tracking for yourselves and for your community. What are you doing with the resources that you're spending their money on? And we included lots of pictures, like we're going to build a new water tower. So we put that in the budget one year, and then the next year in our report, we put a picture of the water tower. So we said we were going to do this, we did this. It helps build that alignment. It also helps you measure your success along the way. Economic development requires time. The time between the Golden Triangle starting their industrial park for the first time and landing Aluminum Dynamics on that site was 11 years. It took 11 years. That's a lot of patience. That's 3 of your election cycles. I mean, that's a long time to be holding out to make sure you can win. I don't know how long you've all been involved in developing your industrial parks in Rankin County, but I know it's been a long time. And we've been along for the ride. So my 7th P, which isn't on the screen, is patience. Economic development requires patience. If you hire somebody under a 3-year contract and say you expect them to deliver economic development results within that contract period, you're on a fool's errand. Okay, there's things you can do to get yourself along the way, but the results is really about creating the product set, developing the pipeline at the top of the funnel, and then continuously improving your pitch and you're refining your value proposition until you hit the markets you're trying to hit. And that takes time. Any elected body, any municipal government, any port authority, any special purpose district in the state that has these 5, 6, 7 principles attached to them is getting results. Now, they're not all getting a $10 billion data center, but they're getting something that will fit with their community, something that will, gravitate to the DNA that that community provides and generate a win for that community. And so that's my 5 Ps, 6 if you count the patience part, and I'd be delighted to answer any questions or have a debate with you about any of these topics.
Expand your thoughts on data centers. The negativity,
they're big.
Social media influence out there, other than being big and the future. We're building an information interstate.
Yeah.
Basically.
Well, let me just say, I wish we had a lot more to say about data centers than we do. We're very fortunate that in the data center space that we had an accident of luck and a little bit of strategic planning in the private sector that brought these data centers to Mississippi. What really happened to make us an attractive target for data centers was we had the product. And by that I mean we had 2 transcontinental dark fiber routes, one running from Chicago to New Orleans, one running from Dallas to Atlanta and then up into Virginia that cross right here in the Jackson metro area, okay? And that didn't finally occur until about 3-4 years ago, was when those two things got built out. What that meant was that we had the capacity to move a lot of data through here in a redundant way, because you had two crossing lines that could get anywhere in continental United States. The second thing we had, which a lot of states don't have, is we have a 500 kilovolt transmission line that runs from the Grand Gulf Nuclear Power Plant up through the metro area here, across Madison County, and then heads over toward Starkville and the Golden Triangle. That is a huge power line. Just to give you an example, there isn't a 500 kV transmission line through most of East Texas. Okay, they're all lower ratings than that, which is why you don't see a lot of data centers over there. But everybody got really excited when now you've got this massive power transmission infrastructure that you could hang generators off of, and the nuclear power plant and solar fields hanging off that transmission. The same place you had all the fiber optics. Then when you put in land and water in close proximity to all that, bingo, the market lights up. And AWS was the first to watch it 5 years before it happened. We were talking to them in 2019. And they finally, once that infrastructure matured and we had sites in the area available, they pounced on it and dominated the market. Once AWS got on the roster, everybody's like, what's going on in Mississippi? And all their competitors said, it's kind of like, when you get a Walmart, you get a CVS across the street, or you get a McDonald's, and the next thing Taco Bell shows up right next door. That's kind of the way it is. These big companies watch each other. They know that they're not going to make a bad investment decision, so they're going to co-locate where their competitors go to try to sniff out what was going on. And from there, the gates opened. We didn't have to really do much after that. We did a special session for AWS, and that's the last time we did. We're operating off of standard statutory incentives from there on out because the value proposition is so strong with all the product we've got in the market. And that's the other thing, the lesson learned from this. If you've got good product, you don't have to give away the farm, because you'll be very competitive, and people will want to come there and they won't ask you for lots of incentives. And so we're just not doing a lot of incentives. Now, some of the negative publicity around these data centers that you get, I was on the radio this morning. If you want to hear the full speech, you can go listen to it on Super Talks recording. But I said the same thing I'll tell you all. A data center is not a data center is not a data center. They are all different, okay? The XAI data center and the Amazon data centers, those are artificial intelligence machine learning factories. And what they produce are tokens. And those tokens get strung together, and that's what artificial intelligence output is built upon. So they're factories, okay? And factories, in my opinion, are the highest form of data center you can get. These are big forging facilities for tokens. Quantum computing, which is the next step, they'll make qubits. That's what they're going to produce. And so we're on the lookout for what that will bring. But there's a lot of other data centers that are a lot more like your hard drive on your computer and just store your cat pictures, okay? And those are what I would say are not necessarily on the same level as the data centers that are doing the advanced compute. The advanced compute is where we're going to see much more of the intensive investment, much more capital intensive, much more intellectual investment, a lot more turnover as they stay competitive in that market. The storage of the cat pictures is going to be a different type of market. So I don't know what Avio and Compass will be bringing to the market. I don't know who their tenants are yet. What we do know is that they've got real estate developers that are speculating, putting the projects together, and that will bring tenants inside these data centers. And when they come, we'll know, because those folks coming inside the data centers are going to want our data center incentives. And we've told everyone that we've been talking to about this that we will expect an announcement. So you will know who those companies are and whether they're doing cat pictures or tweets or whatever, okay? Or whether they're doing AI compute or something else for that matter. So that's the one thing you need to understand. The second thing is power generation. A data center, each of these deals is different, okay? AWS cut a deal with Entergy Mississippi to build separate standalone generation from multiple sources, including natural gas, solar, and a whole bunch of other sources of power. In fact, AWS is the principal investor in the terrestrial wind farm that's up in Tunica County. They're going to be using wind power to help power some of this stuff. So what we know about AWS and what we negotiated in the deal is you got to bring your own power. You can't impact the rate base. So if you listen to everything Haley Fisackerly, the CEO of Entergy Mississippi, has said, he said they're not going to impact the rate base. Well, people are saying, well, he's lying. You know, the rates are going up everywhere. Well, I'm going to tell you how you can know whether he's lying or whether I'm lying. They're a regulated utility. If they want to raise your rates, they have to go to the Mississippi Public Service Commission and make a rate case. That rate case is going to be subject to public hearings, and you'll all know if they're trying to get a rate increase, okay? They haven't made a rate case on this particular project. All indications are they won't make a rate case, and in fact, I've been told by everybody there isn't going to be a rate case coming. So if you're getting a rate increase from Entergy or anybody else that may be servicing one of the co-ops in the area, there's a very good chance that that's natural rate increases that are permissible up to about 3 or 4% a year, just from normal operating cost increases. So I'm telling you today that for XAI, which is building their own 1.9 gigawatt power generation plant right next to the buildings they're building their data centers in, or AWS, everything we know about those projects is that power they're bringing with them. Now, Compass and Avio, slightly different story. I don't have the inside track on those agreements, and I don't know exactly where the power is coming from or how it's been contracted, because industrial power loads are not disclosable to the Public Service Commission or to MDA unless they're making a rate case. So be watching for a rate case with Mississippi Power and Meridian or Avio here in Rankin County. If there's a rate case filing, I'll be first in line. I'm a Rankin County resident. I'm living in the same territory. We'll all stand in line together and we can fuss about it. But until that happens, I'm not convinced that there's a problem yet. Water, they're going to suck the ground dry. We're all going to be drinking mud, and it's going to be terrible. No, not in every case. Now, in the cases of Avio and Compass, you probably know better than I do how they're going to deal with their water, but a lot of these data centers are air-cooled. So it could be very well an air-cooled type of facility and doesn't touch a lot of water at all. We know from AWS, and I know for a fact, that we borrowed $215 million from the state during a state bond bill to build Beatty's Bluffs sewer treatment plant to accommodate additional gray water treatment capacity. What that means is we're going to treat sewer water out at Beatty's Bluff, and we're going to pump it back to AWS, and they're going to use that water for cooling. It's going to go into recirculation. So it's a gray water recooling recirculation loop. 100% of that $215 million is being paid back to the county through their property taxes. So, and we've got a loan agreement with the county backed up by the full faith and credit of AWS to backstop that, so there shouldn't be any risk to the state. And even if there were, even if AWS walked away from the deal, we've got a brand new sewer treatment plant out there and an underutilized industrial park that now is new product that we can go and sell into the market. Okay. Same thing's happening up with XAI in South Haven. In fact, there's a major litigation dispute up there between the Tennessee folks and the South Haven folks over a regional sewer treatment plant. The word I'm getting is XAI is going to come in and help solve that by paying for the improvements and then taking the gray water for circulation. So it solves two problems at once. So that's water. Now, what's happening with Compass and Avio? Not sure, just because mostly I don't know what the tenets of the building specs are going to be, because I don't think they do either. So until that materializes, we won't know, and I can't commit to you that there won't be water impacts locally. But if there are, there's recourse to the municipalities to address that, and they'll deal with it in due course. So I'm not here to say that every deal is a great deal and it's never going to hurt anybody. What I'm saying is you got to ask which deal are we talking about before you can condemn the data centers. Okay? Lastly, let me just say this on data centers. I got a lot of complaints in my first few years at MDA, particularly from around the university environments. What is MDA doing for technology? What are we doing to bring software programmers here? How come we're not doing what Nashville's doing or Austin, Texas? Why don't we turn Jackson into the next Silicon Valley? Okay, and I think that's a fair question. It's a vertical market that has a lot of attractiveness, attracts great talent. We've got a lot of universities that produce this talent. They're having to go off to other states to work. So why don't we do that here? And what I find is this. What's the anchor for a lot of these other communities that attracts this kind of talent? Well, in Silicon Valley, it was a network, it was based around Stanford University and a lot of their academic talent, and then it attracted a massive investment ecosystem. Well, we don't really have that level of, I'm not saying that we don't have good engineers at our four institutions, but we don't have that kind of world recognition that they had, and we don't have the capital to attract to it. Trying to replicate that here would be very difficult. You know, if you add up all the computer science engineers we produce at our four major universities, it doesn't even produce enough engineers to staff what's going on at AWS today. It's a scale problem, okay? So we have to try to solve the scale problem. So we asked ourselves the question, how do you solve that scale problem? Where do you find the most engineers in the world? What are they most attracted to? And guess what they're most attracted to? Advanced manufacturing. Advanced manufacturing, there's more engineers orbiting around advanced manufacturing than there is anything else. So if you want more engineers in your state, creating more demand on your university and more attraction for engineers to come into the state, you've got to build the factories that engineers orbit around. And AI and machine learning related data centers are factories. They produce tokens, but they're big factories, and they require a lot of engineers to support. So what we decided to do as a strategy is build on the foundation of a technology strategy that focused on the trunk and the root ball, data centers, hardcore advanced manufacturing facilities, and then we're working to attract and upskill our workers to create the talent that will then be able to be the ornaments and the branches and all the fancy stuff that hangs on the outside of the trees. And I was also criticized about 2 years ago on this technology strategy. They're like, well, we can do all the above. We can track software developers and all that. That was right about the time Elon Musk acquired Twitter and fired 40,000 people that were all software developers. Most of that software development, if we would have focused on that 2 years ago, you all can write that software now using ChatGPT. So you got to be a little careful with technology that, you know, it kind of comes and goes with the wind. But you know what doesn't? You've had a computer on your desk probably for the last 30 years. We're going to have these data centers here for a very long time. And even if those data centers aren't needed anymore because we're all doing them on outer space and satellites or in the cold water at the bottom of the ocean, these are big giant shell buildings that have backup power generation and lots of power coming in them. We're going to be building robotic factories and a host of other things in the future we can't even imagine, and those buildings will be adaptively reused to support manufacturing. So that's a long story about data centers. Was that what you were expecting, or did you want something shorter, Mayor?
Oh, I'm down.
You're doing okay?
For the next hour.
Yeah.
You got questions?
What else?
Questions? Anybody? Anything specific? All right.
Well, thank you all very much for hearing me out. I appreciate it.
No, thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you again soon. We'll visit again in the coming days and weeks and expand on that some more. So thank you very much. All right, Alex and Joey, I've got two chairs up here. One's got your name on it, one's got the other name on it. So y'all can come on up here. Travel safe. I know y'all got to cut out to another meeting in Pearl, right? Good. All right, so now we're going to shift. And who's going to be doing the driving? All right. So those first few slides I've got loaded. All you got to do is throw it to the right.
Sweet.
Okay. Sweet. There you go. Is that the first one you're looking for? So just knock yourselves out. Enjoy.
Awesome.
Thank y'all for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You'll get a slide that says Gerard. But that was 9 through 16 that you wanted loaded on there.
You can skip that one.
All right. So, OpenGov, they flew in to visit and spend a little time with you. These two gentlemen sitting behind me are wearing me out about upgrading what we do and how we do it and permitting and everything else. So asset management's very critical to me. I've been working on it since day one and glad that Alex is here and Joey's foaming at the mouth. So that's the reason why they're here. They got a great product and I'd like us to consider adding it to our cadre of use. So I'm going to turn it over to them and let y'all fill in the blanks. Okay. Go ahead.
Awesome. Thanks for having us. Jordan Bearden here with OpenGov with my team, Gerard and Sam. As a brief introduction to us and who we are, we're sharing this slide because we are OpenGov and we're a company that connects technology and public service. we provide technology for over 2,000 governments across the United States and specifically focus on purpose-built software for governments. On the screen there, you're going to see our mission, and this is why we do what we do, because we hope to power more effective and accountable government through our mission here at OpenGov. Our public service platform is how we do what we do. When I said we connect technology and public service, the public service platform is who we are representing here in conversation and working with Alex and Joey. The public service platform that OpenGov offers works the way that government does. We are built for high-performance government, and we intersect with transparency and efficiency through what we're offering in technology. In talking with the mayor, Alex, Joey, Tracy, members of the city, we wanted to understand why we would have conversation and what outcomes the city would be interested in moving forward. Efficiency gains, modernization of technical infrastructure, and improving resident services were the three outcomes most important to the team, and represented here on the slide. Now, I understand you can't read all of this, but aside from the outcomes, what was important to the team was having a return on the investment of a partnership in technology. And this focuses on the return on that investment. 15 to 30% reduction in administrative time, 20 to 40% faster permit, inspection, and work order turnaround, 10 to 25% reduction in reactive and emergency maintenance costs, and 30 to 50% reduction in reporting, audit, and board prep time. In the fine print, it's providing basis for those percentages because we didn't just come up with them. In our partnerships across the United States, we have basis, customer stories, and experience to connect with the return on investment we can offer. Here's some of those partnerships that we have in the United States and focus specifically on the Southeast. You'll see again here as well results throughout those partnerships that coincide with the return on investment that is hoped for in transitioning to technology. Public service is personal to us. That is what we name our software platform, but it's also because across our staff, we have over 500 years of public sector experience. So staff members like Gerard here, front, center, second row, that came from a position in government and know what it looks like to operate in partnership with technology. We also care a lot. In a partnership with OpenGov, you have access to government experts that are now here staff at OpenGov. We care about the success of our customers, so we dedicate points of contact to staff throughout the process that care about customer success. And with our support teams, you can see a portion of that 500 plus years. 200 of those years in our support team are in public sector. And across our support team, we have over 6 Stevie Awards for customer support. Feedback across the Southeast here, one of those being a prize for us, but our partnership with Ford Hanley, the city manager and finance director, and also GFOA president in Orange Beach, Alabama. going to pause here. Happy to answer questions for you and also discuss or transition to Gerard for any technical review if needed.
All right, so I left you guys a letter also, just summarizing it. Guys, the goal is to modernize the way that we do our permitting. At least I want to speak for community development, but our goals, I think, align in this scenario. I'll let him speak on the asset management stuff in a minute, but for me, I'm looking to better handle the planning, the permitting, the code enforcement specifically. We also have a need for flexible workflows so staff can adjust forms and processes. Right now, we're heavily reliant on our current software for IT to manually help us. We're kind of at their will. In a lot of ways, we are maxed out. I can get into the details of what we can do. We can't expand anymore. We can't delete what we've had because it's attached to historic data. There's a lot of things that were piggybacked on certain modules that we have purchased, and over time, those modules were used for things such as permitting, were used for things for our historic commission, certificate of appropriateness. We were using it for any planning, any of our preliminary plats, and so what you have is you start having ghost permitting because iWorks, not to throw their name, they've held us along. But essentially the data gets really hard, gets real manual. So we're asked for efficiency numbers, we're asked for how things are going. We can get that information, but it's really manual, a lot of triple checking. It's not efficient. So OpenGov, to me, fits those needs because it's built specifically, at least as I was sold initially, and Alex told me that it works for him as well. It's specifically built for planning, permitting, code enforcement. Another really cool feature, I think, to help us modernize is this supports online submittals. It keeps centralized case files. It improves consistency, turnaround, through better routing. It also includes a customer portal. We get the calls all the time. Hey, where's our stuff at? Where are we at in the process? It also ensures accountability of where that review is, right, or where we're at in that process, instead of us double backing and 2 months and saying, hey, oh yeah, I did respond to that. Where y'all at with it, right? There's a lot of manual processes currently happening. On the management side, it seems it offers stronger reporting and data visibility to support better decisions and long-range planning. Importantly, it also provides data migration support, which I think will prove huge instead of us doing it manually. That way we can preserve those historical records, maintain continuity through this partnership. We also did some peer checking. I personally sat for about, an hour or so with Starkville. They were gracious enough to walk us through their entire process and how they wouldn't go back and the problems they had with their last software, and they couldn't say enough about it. Also, personally, when I went up to Tupelo, at the grace of the board, the permission of the board, to look at their code enforcement, they utilize, this is actually where I first heard about them, they utilize it for the code enforcement, and man, I couldn't tell you, they couldn't say enough great things about it also. So those are two personal checkpoints that I've done with our peer cities in Mississippi. So my recommendation is to adopt OpenGov to improve service, efficiency, and long-term capabilities, community development. So thank you.
Real quick, I'm going to tell you why I want it, right? From a public works standpoint, what we don't have currently with our current system is efficiency and transparency. I want to be able to take that task from your constituents, whether it's a pothole, a water leak, my street lights out, and I want to be able to provide them that domino tracker effect of transparency from when they submit it to when we complete it. That way they're not following up. It also keeps my department to task. I'm able to use OpenGov in bidirectionally with our current GIS department And if y'all didn't know, we're way ahead of our peers in GIS, right? Brandon is modern when it comes to asset management, but this can only help it. If y'all didn't know, I have a background in GIS, so I know what it should look like, what right is, and we're there with what we have, but this can only improve that. Appropriate asset management can help me spend my dollars better, the city's dollars better, your constituents' dollars better. We can move from a more reactive response to a more proactive response in our maintenance. The majority of public works is reactive, and that's the nature of public works, but this system would allow us to really focus on the areas that need replacement and have a better idea of where we should put those funds across the city. Again, I think it would help all of you immensely with your constituents for them to be able to see a request from beginning to end. Right now, I can't even provide them that unless I individually call back every resident as we complete their work order. That's it.
I'm going to come get that iPad and get out of your way. One example of that on asset management, I'll give you a simple thing. And it happened on West Brandon Court when the Gozas had a sewer line that was bored through. C-Spire did it. We got the money back for fixing that, but that was a very deep line. I've always said this, I know Matthew's back here, and I've always regretted as we started building these GIS maps, one of the things we didn't get, told Gerard this, was the inverts on sewer lines. Now it seems like a very mundane thing, but if we had that one element from this manhole to this manhole, how deep that sewer line was, when we're doing permits out here for horizontal boring, we can tell them where those storm drains are, how deep that sewer line is, and if it helps avoid those kind of things, it's good to us. So it's critical mass and it's building. We do have a lot of data, but I believe this would take all of that data and encompass it in one place that is more useful for everybody in public works, any developer or anything else. All right, so if you'll hit that one more time, I believe we got Gerard. Now, Gerard, there you go. There's the team in your corner. All right, over 500. You already said all that, right? Keep going. I got a slide up here with your name on it. All right. I don't know how many hours these people have spent putting up with all of us, but many hours. And right off the bat, you're looking at a community development director here in Gerard who understands what Joey's going through from a community standpoint, and that's why he fits into this organization very well. So I'm going to turn it over to y'all. Okay, Joey?
Thank you, Mayor Lee. Well, good evening, board and council members, Mr. and Mrs. Members of the board and council. I Gerard Franklin, representing OpenGov. I'm a senior solutions engineer with the company. I've been with the company for approaching 5 years now and worked in local government for close to 9 years. My background, as Mayor said, worked in economic and community development with the city of Indianapolis, doing a lot of what we were just describing in plan review, plans examination, and code enforcement. My role here tonight is really to be an advocate for, of course, OpenGov, but for these two fine gentlemen as well on improving all of the business efficiencies, but not only internally, but also with all of your public constituents, right? We want to make sure that we are lowering the barrier of entry to do business with the city of Brandon, making sure that the permits and applications that are being submitted can be associated to the right locations and properties as well as assets, and giving them the appropriate workspaces, to streamline a lot of their workflows. A lot of what we've talked about right now is more so in the community resources side of the house, right? Maps and GIS, but we also focus and have a very fine detailed attention on core financials and within our public service platform. That is the backbone of our solution, right? So bridging the data and information that we're gathering and collecting from these other solutions back into the financial management program so that we can aggregate that information and data and serve it up to you all, right? Providing transparency and dashboards and analytics that inform decisions that you all are making day to day, week to week, hour to hour, and giving that information to you all with just a click of a button. I actually stood up an entire presentation as far as a demonstration flow tonight, but I do not believe we have a plug-in to actually showcase this.
Can he hook up to his HDMI? Can he attach to your HDMI so he can show his presentation? Is that possible?
And if not, I'm happy to talk through it as well. Yes. Thank you all for the time. I should have came to you first.
Hey, Joey.
Yes,
Or
sir.
Alex, would this be replacing
Yes, sir.
some type of platform that we're currently
Replacing
using?
iWorks.
Currently, we have a vendor for our permitting and work order management software called iWorks. And so it would replace them with the help of their implementation team and the program. All that's part of this process. And it's a long process, but they, have checks and balances. And we need that data. That's historical data I use every day to look back at a resident's history of repairs, see where we're at. So we will capture all of that. Yes, this would replace ours. Yeah.
And just to give some more context or just confidence in the overall project approach, we have replaced iWork over a dozen times, migrating over all of the historical data from those systems. In the current process today, a constituent, a property owner, contractor, or developer would have to fill out potentially a fixed PDF application, mailing that to the appropriate offices, and then having the staff input that information into a back-end database. Where we want to go to is allowing for your constituents to have a branded portal and experience really designed by the city of Brandon, and giving them the areas of opportunity to learn and be educated about the process and going through the appropriate applications to start big projects like a data center, right, or a warehouse, or maybe just adding on a bathroom or bedroom to your home. That work is now easily and available here digitally, anywhere, anytime, on any device. Now, as I plug in maybe a building permit application, which I'm not going to go through just for the sake of our time tonight, but allowing for that individual to learn and understand what requirements are going to be needed by that developer, and essentially allowing for that person to submit the appropriate applications and for the city to collect all of the necessary fees and funds in a digital transaction via credit card, their bank account. And all of our constituents, for the most part, if they're like my wife, they like the Amazon experience, right? They want to do everything from their computer, including paying and having those services shipped directly to their door. So this is what we're giving your constituents, allowing for them to submit the appropriate applications, seeing in a Domino's piece of tracker, as we called out just a moment ago, giving them full transparency about what the city is working on, clearly being able to track and follow those measures here on the left-hand side, and ultimately go ahead and make a payment as well, right? Now, as you make those payments, something to quickly note here as we are conducting a transaction, and I can do that here on the fly, is that we're producing all of the documentation that an applicant may need, right? A building permit, an approval letter, a conditional letter of content, or so on and so forth, right? Allowing for all that information to be digitally sent to the applicant and all of their developers. The documents, of course, will be templatized and designed by your teams alongside of our professional services team. So we have an experience that is really controlled by your city staff, making sure we have the appropriate languages and branding elements on the documents, and making sure that it looks and feel like you're working with the city of Brandon. Now, that's more on the public portals end. On the back end, internally, we want to improve those efficiencies as well. So allowing for you to have that cross-departmental collaboration across your entire organization, and everyone being able to actually work off of those records, being able to see this information and have those workflows at their disposal.
Yeah, we currently do this by email.
Yeah. So all of those emails, the number of data points that are entered in from a PDF or Word document is now transcribed here digitally, modernizing all the workflow steps and streamlining all of the communication back and forth between departments and breaking down those silos for each of the work streams. Where this really, the rubber meets the road here is that we at OpenGov have three main values. We want to make sure that all of your staff is operating more efficiently, building the public trust, and then ultimately making sure that you can adapt to change. And the way that we help you and enable you to adapt to change is giving the keys to the castle or the software to your power users or your staff members and allowing for them to make those adjustments when we have a new ordinance that is passed or a new code that is adopted, a new workflow that is being kind of worked through or managed. They are now able to come into our system in a drag and drop point and click format and simply move those items around and say, hey, we need council approval here. Let's go ahead and add it in the workflow. This, just to give you an idea, in some of the incumbent and older systems, you have to have a coding or technology degree in some terms to actually make these changes and rely on the vendor paying them additional funds to make these changes as well. And bless you. Absolutely. Okay, so from here, we want to make sure that we're also giving the appropriate workspaces, and these are purpose-built solutions for both permitting as well as asset management, but they're also interconnected, right? So they're integrated natively within the platform that allows us to actually showcase permitting data on the asset maps. So we have that operational awareness, making sure that, hey, if we're approving a permit on this roadway, we just we just repaved the roadway. We don't want to have a contractor digging this up for utilities. We now have that information at our fingertips as well, giving you full visibility into the data and information, again, based on your day-to-day workload. So maybe, water collection or water distribution, wastewater, all of those dashboards can now be visible by your teams. So if I wanted to drill into, to understand why did we spend so much money in the month of January opposed to this, this past January, I can jump into that information and quickly see the projects that we have worked on and see that dollar amount here at a glance, right? So now I can understand we spent, $5,000 replacing maybe a water main or repairing one, and being able to drill directly into that specific item or that asset. Now, from a visual standpoint, we're using that rich GIS and Esri information that the city has maintained and put a lot of thought and effort into, in ingesting that information so you can continuously maintain that information on an ongoing basis. So reflecting all of your infrastructure above ground as well as underground. So that's things like your water infrastructure or utilities, fire hydrants, if you have to flush those every quarter, every every 2 years, being able to see lead copper pipes and all of the initiatives that you may be working on. All of that information is going to roll up into this map so you can quickly see where your assets are located, where work has been done, and ultimately how much is it costing the city, just with a click of a button, how much is it costing the city to maintain this specific water line, right? So this main, this lateral, I can see that we haven't spent very much, $490 maintaining this since we installed it in '84. So giving you that real-time information and data as an analytical point, but also as a point of reference for any reporting and dashboarding needs. Okay. From here, we also want to make sure that we are using that information and data to actually inform future plans. And the way that we do that is by saying, hey, members of the council or board, and I'll just go into another one here, just jump into this one. We actually have a budget amount of X amount of dollars, right? What do we need to do over 5 years, 10 years, 20 years to make sure that all of our water mains and our sewer laterals are up to par, right? We tell the system, we give it a dollar amount over a specific threshold or asset classification, and the system will build a plan for you, forecasting and really predicting all of the work that the teams in public works or within the engineering departments, what work they need to go out and do out in the field to make sure that all of your assets are in good standing and they are performing well. Okay, I'll take a moment there just to answer potentially any questions before moving forward with a quick high-level overview of the financial management solution.
Do y'all come in, excuse me, do y'all come in and do the training for the employees in person, or is it Zoom, or what?
We can. Generally, we do them virtually, but if the team opts to have us on site, we will be there.
What if there's a problem with the software? Can y'all handle that from where you are? Does someone have to come in? Is somebody here going to be able to
We can
make
handle
changes?
it virtually, but if there is an ask that we are here in person, we will be here.
Yeah, I think one note to add there is that we are completely cloud-based, so it's no local install, so there wouldn't be a need for anyone to actually come here physically unless, again, requested. Because we're cloud-based, we are staying up to date with all of the updates and enhancements on the software. We push out at the company every single month a new enhancement to all of the products. And you and the city reap the benefits of that at no additional, cost.
Okay, the GIS information, I'm not sure how to ask this. When y'all export the GIS information or import it into this, how much additional has to be put into the program, I guess, so that it will work for us?
Great question. So we really meet you where you are. So wherever your GIS information stands today, we utilize as much of that information into the overall deployment of the program. So we use the information that you have and import that in through a data migration model, and any attribute of information, let's say the year that it was installed or last constructed or rehabilitated, we use that information and plug it in as a data point. So we go back as far as you need us to, or we cut out as much noise as you need us to as well. So we really meet you where you are.
Down to a granular level.
Correct.
Down to a water valve, a fire hydrant replaced, so that you know what model it is, when it was installed, who installed it, how much it cost, all the way down the line.
Yep. And great point, Mayor. Thank you so much. And the amount of assets that you want to bring into the system, of course, we will be able to support that as well. I'm talking about water lines here, but that can also be a hydrant, right? If we decide to further use this as an enterprise-wide tool, it can be all of your infrastructure from stop signs, right? Your signals, your pavement and sidewalks, making sure that we have all of that information into one centralized, cohesive platform. So. Great question. So we really bring all of this information together from a cost standpoint within our finance and accounting solution. This is giving your teams, and Tracy, I don't know if she's still here or not, hello, the ability to actually, really facilitate a lot of the improvements within the core finance and accounting areas. And giving you the ability to also build out the appropriate financial reports and budgetary documentation as well, right? So from someone that is logging into the system, if I just want to take a quick at-a-glance view based on my user persona, let's say that I'm someone working for the board or the mayor or the financial director, I can come into the system and say, hey, I need to see a view of all of the information of the revenue we've collected. I want to know how many expenses by department, how much have we spent on a specific area or ward in the city, and I can quickly pull that information down, right? We're picking on this gentleman, Paul, here for a moment, but imagine this being your cup of coffee in the morning view, and you can jump into any data point that you like, right? And then furthermore, allowing for the system to work for you, pulling specific dashboards on, permits, right? Or how many code enforcement cases do we have? And leveraging those data centers within our solutions. When I say data centers, I mean the AI that we were talking about just a moment ago, and actually saying, hey, within this dashboard and within this database, how many contracts have we awarded, or how many vendors are we working with, and allowing for the AI to crawl all of our solutions and pull down the information that you need. All right. So A lot of times there's a lot of manual efforts and work getting into, let's call it your staff members going from purchase orders or requisitions to purchase orders to cutting checks with vendors. We make that process a lot smoother by allowing for those individuals to go into a place of request, submitting those requisitions, going through the appropriate workflows, very similar to the permitting workflows that we're talking about, but more so internally. And as we go through each of those, those requisitions, ultimately what we want to get to is a point where we are issuing out a purchase order, right? And allowing for that staff member to go out and make the appropriate purchases. And based off the dollar amount, those thresholds, the system will do a quick calculation or budget check for you, letting you know if you're on budget and or going beyond budget and allowing for you to make those purchases. Now, when those purchases are occurring, kind of going through, going kind of left to right here, within those invoices, as you're receiving those invoices, Tracy, maybe you can even echo this, but there's potentially a lot of time and effort being spent on entering in manual invoices, sending them via email, fax, so on and so forth. Our system allows for you to take all of those invoices and simply do an invoice capture utilizing some of the smart technology in the program and quickly identify all of the vendor information and mapping that back to your finance and accounting system for you. I'm using my hotspot, so bear with me. All right, so again, we can do that in batches, we can do individual invoices, and the system will actually do an auto match and approval for you, and you can go ahead and post this to your general ledger as the additional approvals are being made. But at the end of the day, as we aggregate all this data and information from either permitting and licensing, asset management, and also within the financial management system itself, we are able to actually create specific reports that are really geared and or catered to your specific personas or your day-to-day work, and allowing for you to also go through things like bank reconciliation, which can also be a nightmare. I've worked personally with communities that have bank reconciliations that go years or months back. Our system allows for you to do auto matches within bank reconciliation as well. So I'm staying up to date with all of your reconciliation. But going back into the reporting, right, pulling down all of the budget reports or financial statements that you need. If you wanted to do a revenue and expenditure report or budget to actuals, this is allowing for you to really create those visualizations as you need to. And as you jump into any of these, I'll just jump into one here to the right. I can quickly see, if we're on budget or outside of budget. I can include encumbrances if needed, and then giving you full flexibility to aggregate this information even into a dashboard. So now when I log into the system and want a dashboard that is specific to a department lead or a specific operation within the city, I can now spin up a dashboard and it will create all of the various reports and aggregating them in one centralized location for me that allows for us to pull in data and information across any functional area. So, and the last thing that I'll call out here as, kind of loading up information and data is that we want to be transparent not only internally, but also with the public. This information can now be transparently embedded into your website. So really leveraging the tools that you have in place today via your website or via your social media, right? And really allowing for the constituents, the business owners, the property owners, the taxpayers, right? To understand the data and information that you're working with and providing that transparency and allowing for them to interact with that information, and also add text and narrative to explain how we're leveraging the data and information, what decisions are being made from that data and information, and having this update in real time directly from your website. This is where we started as a company, having all the reporting and transparency tools, again, natively built into the system and giving you full range to use this as you wish. So I'll take a moment just to maybe pause there, and if any of you all want to add additional commentaries, feel free to do so, but I'm happy to stop there and answer any questions.
Hey, thanks. Great. I will say, I'm not as good off the top as Alex is here, but I will say, when I'm asked for efficiency numbers, we can pull the data, but like I want to answer questions, you guys. How productive are we? Instead of how many cases have we opened? Let's just speak in code enforcement only. How many have they closed? How many have went to court? What is the case? What is the process? How granular can we get? It seems like we have that ability here. But further, I don't claim to nearly have the expertise and data as these guys next to me. However, my background in the past, you can manipulate that data in a manual way, or you can do it easily. But I will say, no matter what, the data is only good starting at the input if the input is correct, right? And so we have to ensure that input is correct. And right now, there's not a lot of gatekeeping in the current software that we have, where anybody can make a change, anybody can make an accidental edit. There's a lot of going back, second checking, triple checking to ensure that y'all have the right numbers. And then we're still not, in my opinion, as granular, because our guys, our teams are working hard, and I want to highlight that. I want you guys to know, I want the public to know what our teams are doing. So again, I think this software would really help with that.
Great call out. The last thing that I will say is that
Same.
the last thing I will say that we've been really showcasing this on my laptop, just from the podium here. This is completely device and web agnostic. So if you're using your cell phone and or your tablet, a lot of the folks that may be working out in the field, like inspectors or asset managers, they actually may be more so equipped with mobile devices. They can still interact with this software as well out in the field. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. And also unlimited users. So folks that you may be working with from a contractual standpoint, like consultants or contractors that go beyond, City Hall, right? Folks that you're working with, we have unlimited users that can be within the system as well.
Y'all may be fixing to do this, but there's one big question still y'all haven't answered.
Yes, sir.
Cost.
Great. That's the $1 million question. Not $1 million, but that is the $1 million question.
I'm gonna say that's the.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
What are we looking at versus what we're doing? That's one thing that needs to be known.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When we're talking about an annual investment of the program, range-wise, we're looking at about 80,000 to 130.
I don't know if I have
I
that slide
don't
back.
have something formalized here for you.
Is it in that deck?
It is, but it's separated.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Is that number including finance service area as well?
On the annual software, correct.
Okay.
That 80 to 130
So his
range.
question was, that board, did that include finance? So Tracy looked in on this too, and there's a finance portion of it, but, not that she's disinterested, that's not what I'm saying, but really it's these two led the charge to get these good folks here. But there's a third element of it we don't know about our works and converting over on the financial side yet. So, Tracy, you want to say anything? You got to get on microphone. Yeah, whether you want to or not.
Yeah, on the financial side, there's a lot of good modules and reporting, dashboards, things like that. But, at this time, we really wouldn't want to move financial over until closer to our fiscal year end. That would need to be a clean cut, just because it's a lot of data. It's a big haul, which I know that they could easily do. But, for audit purposes, keep data integrity, and just the amount of data, we would want to do that closer to our fiscal year end.
And I'll speak for Carter Dearman, and no, this is not utility billing either, so.
Right. So, yeah, because utility
Which we
billing.
do that too.
Alex, you want to speak to that?
Utility billing and our finance do interface. So as things are working in utility billing, it is posted to the financial side. Those two components do interface right now, so.
I would just like to see something in writing.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm gonna look at Alex, and it's gotta be in front of us to see it.
We do have their estimate, and that's based on implementation and several things, but I believe, and I don't know if y'all have updated those numbers, but we have a couple of scenarios if we move to multiple suites of software versus standalone. Because everything we add, of course, comes with an additional cost. But I can provide that later.
I mean, I'll say that needs to be provided before we make a decision.
Oh, yeah,
to know what we're doing.
Oh, yeah, they introduced this
More of
idea.
an informative exercise, yeah.
Well, I got the impression you wanted us to think about this tonight.
Tonight.
Okay.
Jared, can you do utility billing?
We can. We do support utility billing. We have a full utility billing portion of the software, which I'm also happy to share. Yep, and show you.
Harry, if I might, just bouncing off your question before, with our current software, Jessica, the office manager, and I sat down in a few meetings and trying to figure out how we can clean this information up, and the first thing they said, oh, you have the basic package. If you want us to help that, you can buy this product, and it seems like y'all are grandfathered in. You have to buy this product and this product. So even to fix where we're at is still costly. So I just wanted to throw that point out as well.
Is that utility billing?
Not utility billing. So for example, I brought this up earlier, not utility billing. This is I'm speaking for my department only, right? As it relates to permitting, for example, we brought up historic commission, planning, preliminary plats, all the things. The ghost placeholder permitting that I mentioned earlier. In order to fix all of these things, they say the only way we can fix it is one, a mass data purge that we need help with. It's going to cost us some money. We also got to start buying some more service legs. It's going to cost us some money. So this proposal, in my opinion, really modernizes us. I came from Encode in Ridgeland, and while it got us by, it was very antiquated. So there was a lot of paperwork involved. So I'll say iWorks is better, but I feel the antiquation happening again, and we have an opportunity to get in front of it. So,
Well, if they can do utility billing, we still doing it the way we were, folding them ourselves, and.
That's a separate issue, Harry, and we're working through that.
But I mean, can they do it through their software? OpenGov, he just said he could.
Well, they could do the utility billing piece, but the production of the bill itself to mail out, is that something?
Yes, we support that as well.
I guess they support that, Harry.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
that's what I'm.
I wasn't aware.
That's what I'm saying.
We haven't entertained it, but I'm glad you're asking the questions. Carly gave me a firm no. But, if we do move with the financial side, we would be giving up, what did you say, one inefficiency for another. I mean, we would have to move both. We would have to. It just, they wouldn't talk.
Right. I mean, right now, the two, utility billing and finance interface, so they share data, book it onto the financial side. And so, I mean, if we implemented one, we would need to implement the other. Like I was telling Alex a second ago, if we don't, I mean, we're basically swapping one inefficient process for another.
So I'm glad you asked the question and they answered. So that's great to know that. If we did switch utility billing, they could handle the stuff in the envelopes too, because we got to get a solution for that.
Yeah, so I just want to make one point of clarity because I'm hearing the conversation now. We are, on the utility billing front, we actually create all of the charges against the accounts using the usage assessments that you're pulling from your meter readings. Is it meters? Yeah. Okay. And we produce all of the bills for you. So we have all of that, PDF and or a CSV. Our company does not physically stuff. I'm sorry.
Even the PDF development would solve what we're doing now, because then we could.
I just wanted to make a point.
It would solve that issue we have currently, yes.
They don't mail them though.
No,
we don't mail them.
But create the PDF would solve another problem.
Even creating the PDF, I'd be willing to, that's a huge hurdle. I'd be willing to stuff the letter.
All right, so this is a big, complex thing. We just introduced the idea, and the current iWork system that we're on now was something that Angela and Liz chose almost 12 years ago, is where we are now. So, systems get old and cost. Maybe it's time to upgrade the system. Systems, plural. All right? So, before we shift into the next one, You want to follow up any, Gerard?
No, I just want to say thank you all for the time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much for being here. And we'll keep working at it, all right?
Thank you.
When we figure out what we want.
You're just
Well,
quicker at it,
Mr. Baker's asking me, Gerard, you can, Gerard, I got a quick question for you. You better hurry up, Joey. We're in the, Gerard, got a quick question. You would come to the microphone. Mr. Baker is saying, could you send us a contract to begin to look at? My understanding is you only work for governmental entities.
That is correct.
You don't work for non-governmental entities.
That is correct. No nonprofits, government focus only. That's our
In Mississippi?
Yes. as
Okay,
well.
so there's a Mississippi government contract you're going to send me that doesn't have indemnity, damage limitations, attorney's fees on being sued. California is the jurisdiction of the lawsuit, all the things that I have to cut out time and time and time again.
Yeah.
All right.
Most of our Mississippi.
All right, here we go.
They're currently using historical.
Tupelo.
That's wonderful. I mean, I looked at one today, they said that they did, and there's no way. There's no way you can look at this contract and say you're doing business.
No, majority of our partners leverage all of the state contracts, cooperatives, Sourcewell, NASPO.
All right, here we go. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, attorney.
All right.
Thank you, man. You made my day.
It ain't over yet.
Hey, Blake, you hear us okay?
As far as I'm concerned, it's about over. I don't have any of that.
Joey?
All right, so the voice is coming through board on the TVs behind us.
Oh, that's Placer's contract. Oh, yeah, that's the one.
All right.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, rock on. You got it.
Okay. All right. Well, I can just get started if everyone's ready and can hear me fine. My name is Blake Cairns. I'm the account executive over here at Placer.ai, and looking forward to presenting Placer to everyone in the room this evening. I've already met with Mayor Lee and Joey Barnett over there at the city. So for tonight, I've got a little bit of an agenda just to go over a brief slideshow that's going to explain a little bit about who Placer is, what we do, how we help other cities across the United States. Then we'll dive into some properties of interest for the city of Brandon. So what I'll start doing real quick is just sharing my screen. Just someone give me a thumbs up when you see this pop up when you're in, if you don't mind.
If you could make it full screen, if you could throw it up full screen, it'd be a little bit easier to see.
Yeah? Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so I'll jump right into it. So Placer AI, we are a location analytics platform. So what we're doing is we're leveraging local location data, like cell phones, right? And we're providing a lot of interesting information on any location in the United States. So Placer can tell you how many people visit any location at any given time, right? But we're also able to really tell you the story behind those visitors. Where do they live? Where do they work? Where else are they going to eat, drink, shop, and play? What roads are they taking to get to these places, and so forth. So we've been selling now for about 6 years, and we've become the leading data provider for over 4,500 total customers across the United States. So we work in several different verticals outside of civic. We started out in commercial real estate, and then eventually retailers started to take notice of the data's accuracy for retail recruitment, site selection, things of that nature. And then also at some point, civic folks started to feel a little bit left out at some of these conventions and other circles that they were speaking with. That birthed our civic vertical. Now, Civic's been our fastest growing vertical to date, and it includes over 2,000 total Civic customers. We're not updating the slides fast enough, but because it is the fastest growing one. So that includes all of our cities, our counties, towns, chambers of commerce, DMOs, park districts, really everything in between. Now, I mentioned we have 2,000 across the entire country, but in the state of Mississippi, we're working with about 15 Civic entities as of today. So that's going to include the city of Flowood, which is very close to you guys. Also Laurel Main Street, the Marion County Development Partnership, a handful of DMOs, including Visit DeSoto County, Visit Greenwood, Visit Oxford, Visit Brickley, and the Corinth area CBD as well, just to name a handful. So now, the way Placer works, it's pretty unique, okay? We don't go out and purchase our data like many others in the mobile data space do. What we did is we took a different approach and we built our own panel of mobile devices that we alone have access to. We did this by partnering with dozens of mobile applications So these are the apps that if any of you are downloading these applications to your phone and you're over the age of 18 and you're opting in to share your location, we would have those devices in our panel with these app partners. The important part's always mentioned. We do serve the greater public here, right? So we do not collect any personally identifiable information from any of these devices. I don't know that this is any specific person's phone in there, like Joe Barnett's, right? He shops at Target or eats at Chick-fil-A or any of that information. We're only interested in latitude and longitude of these devices, and we then aggregate and extrapolate for movement patterns over the course of time, if that makes sense, okay? The few things that really set us apart from others in this space starts with accuracy. We're the number one in accuracy for a reason. And that's because I mentioned we sell into retail, so we work with a lot of big box retailers like Target, Walmart, and Best Buy. And they use our data consistently, but before coming on board, they wanted to test our data's accuracy to use it for additional site selection. As an example, Best Buy, they send us about 15 random locations around the country of existing storefronts. They knew exactly how many people come to those stores because they already have door counters, transaction data, things of that nature. But they wanted to see what our data said, and time and time again, it would come back with about 95% accuracy scores. Okay, so that's not only how we win the big box retailer's business, but it's how we consistently validate and test our data going forward with our ground truth data sources, we call them. Okay? The next is going to be our breadth of coverage. So Placer's data, we're able to look anywhere you'd like in the entire country, coast to coast. We're not going to limit anybody geographically. Okay? And also the data does go as far back as 7 years ago for historical data for any location. So that would be January 2019. And it's up to as recent as just several days ago. So it's near real-time foot traffic data, and that is by far the fastest turnaround you'll find on the market. And as I mentioned, that privacy approach is by design, whereas all the data is completely de-identified before we even receive it from our app partners to stay in compliance with all active laws and ever-changing laws and to always stay online, okay? So that's really it for kind of a high-level introduction. And what you see right here is really the top ways a lot of our civic folks leverage the data. These are many of the use cases that sometimes we're speaking with maybe a downtown Main Street team or just a Parks and Recreation team. But for cities of the size of Brandon, everybody in the entire city would have access to Placer, and these are the top ways that our civic folks do leverage the data. Okay, so if there's any questions, I'm happy to address some of those now, but I also have some properties where I can go into the platform and simplify how our data works with something tangible to Brandon.
Rock on.
Okay, we'll jump right into the fun stuff here. So when I open up my Placer platform, we'll first go into here. This is my place where I have tags, so I keep all of my locations. If I'm a customer like Brandon, I already have a place right here where I have a repository of all these locations I already have put into the platform. But just to show you what Placer's platform looks like, I'll go into the Explore view, and this is basically our home page. Placer's web-based, so you don't have to download any software or anything like that. And so when you come in, you would look at a map of the United States, just like Google Maps, you can search anywhere you want in the entire country and pull up that location. So if I were to search for the city of Brandon, and then I would type in markets, it's going to pull it up and bring us straight to it. Now, as I hover over Brandon, there's several locations that I know that Mary Lee and Joey had wanted me to pull up today, which I'll be able to get to in a second. But first thing to call out is that we're looking at a market here. So all of the entire city of Brandon has been geofenced. We've done this across the entire country. We've actually done markets, which is larger geographical areas, so you can see all the other cities nearby as well. If I pan out even further, my computer decides not to freeze on me, which it's trying to do, you'll start to see these grid lines will change, and we can look at the entire counties that these cities lie inside, okay? Now this is just something we wouldn't proactively did, so you can look at your entire resident population, separated from your workforce population, and then true out market visitors, folks that are coming in just to have a good time in Brandon. Now, if I zoom back in, Placer can get very granular. So I mentioned we work with some big box retailers. There's Walmart, right? They're going to have all their locations around the entire country put into the platform. All this is it's a property that we went geo-fenced. And once we have a geo-fence in place, we can open a report and learn a lot more about all of those coming and going from that Walmart specifically. Okay, so for today, we're going to focus on some property level reports. Okay, we can do the entire city of Brandon at a very macro level. So, for instance, when I asked for some locations to show you guys today, I believe one of the ones that had come up was the City Hall. We have City Hall Live, right? Also have the amphitheater in here and a couple of parks. But when we open up a property report, It was just from this page, I just click on this, open it up, and it pulls up all the data for that location. So I have City Hall right here, geofence, and I already selected the dates to an eventing question, right? But typically, you can come in here and you can change the dates any way you see fit, going back all those 7 years I mentioned. Right now, you can pull data from January of 2019. You can select any day, any week, any month, all the way up to as recent as just several days ago, right? So we can pull data from this past Friday, from January 30th, if we wanted to. We will keep the dates in line here. It's going to be November 1st, 2025, okay? And then we also have the dwell time. So we'll look at the report. It's going to default to saying anyone who stayed over 10 minutes in our property is going to be a visitor. Not anybody who just strolling along the edges of this in their car or their bike through it, they won't be captured, right? Only the folks who actually stayed. There's more filters in here as well, just to show you the customizability. You can come in here and say, change to certain days of the week. You can go to any certain time frame that you want. You can get down to the visit duration to be 5 minutes or all the way up to 150. Fully customizable is the point I'm trying to make here. When we open up for just one day, we're going to see all the visits that came to this City Hall Live concert, okay? So what you're looking at here is metrics. It's really our bread and butter. We're looking at the phrases of traffic data, okay? I'll walk you through what all these numbers mean. They all dance together. Did I hear a question? Okay, I thought I heard somebody. So right here, we're going to start off with panel visits. So Placer has a panel of 30 million mobile devices. That represents roughly 10% of the entire U.S. population. It's a very significantly large number. From that number, we're able to observe panel devices that go into a location, like this one, over whatever time period we have specified, and we have that number right here, 290. Now our proprietary algorithm will take that number and it'll extrapolate out based on the locations of these folks, and it'll give us the number of actual visitors. This refers to unique individuals who went to this location. So 2,000 different folks came to City Hall Live for this day in question, okay? And we're not gonna have a deviation of total visits because this is a one-day event. I'll show you what I mean in just a minute with another report. So 2,000 folks came to this concert this day, all right? When we go down here, we're able to see the actual hourly visits of those folks, okay? Probably matches up with the concert. Then you're gonna have the days of the week. If we're looking at a 1 week time frame, it'll give us the most popular days for that. And then the visit duration. So we're able to just tell you how many folks show up to any location, how long they stay, and what hours they typically pay for, right? From here, folks want to know how far out they came from. We would just go to our trade area to learn that. Now, a trade area is where Placer really shines, because we have our own locations of all the devices that came to this, right? So we're able to look at this heat map, and this is going to tell us all the home locations of everybody who came to this concert. Okay, so a great place to visualize how successful was this. Was it mostly local? Was it regional? Things of that nature. Now we can jump right down to our zip code now, okay? Now this is going to also tell us same thing, home locations, but now we're quantifying it by the zip code. So this isn't the biggest event, but we're still able to pinpoint how successful was our marketing, for instance. Or maybe we identify another market that we should have marketed into because we didn't pay attention to them. That's how our teams for marketing events is going to be able to take care of the Placer's data when it comes to home origins of the visitors, okay? Then beneath that, we can also take it and digest it this way. What's the distribution of the distance of everybody who came to this event, okay? So, this is City Hall Live. This is a good one just to kind of give you a snapshot of how we can tell how many folks came. I believe it matches up with the concert hall's actual capacity, right? So, what I want to do real quick is pivot over to my zone and pick another location just because I want to give you guys some variety. We'll go into tags, I'll go into Brandon. And I know we have the amphitheater here, right? We have so much larger concerts that took place there, and it's going to give us more of a timeline we can look at. So instead of zeroing in on a specific date, which we can, I'm going to show you what it looks like to show a snapshot of time. When I open this report, and since the other one was already pulled up, I removed this comparable, but this is something that our platform does. You open up the Brandon Amphitheater, then it's going to pull in a local comparable. This is our machine in the background kind of saying, we found another similar property if you want to compare this. But it's just saying you can compare, right? So you can add up to 7 additional locations, compare them all side by side if you want. You can even take Brandon Amphitheater and you can compare itself to itself 7 additional times, okay? So removing that real quick, we'll dive right into this. Now we're looking at data for the entire last 12 months, 2025. This is showing us all the visitation to the Brandon Amphitheater. We've got our annual visits here, 28,000. Extrapolating out, we're saying that there was 121,000 different folks who came to this amphitheater. Okay? They came back on a frequency of just over 1.5 times. That gives it total visits of 189.8 thousand. Okay? Visitors is total unique individuals. Just how many times they came back. Visits is just going to be how many times boots went inside of this geofence. Okay? One time in that 24-hour period that we're counting. So over all of 2025, here is the visits trend chart. On that last one with the one-day event, here you're able to see a visits trend chart. This is all the spikes for all the events that took place at the amphitheater. All right? We can go to the highest one here. We can click into it, May 17th. Click into it, it's going to tell us a little bit about that day. It's going to say that was when the Trio Revival took place. Okay, a little bit about the weather. Good thing it's indoors, it didn't mess up this event. Looks like it was really successful. It's also going to show us the visits here, kind of comparison for year over year. This event was held at the same time as the previous year. Okay? So now we've already shown you that we can say how many people come to a location. Right? We can zero in on any one of these. But I want to go to that date in question, right? The revival one. I will just come here, select that date range, and remind me of the date real quick. And it was May 17th. Okay, so we'll select that real quick. We'll go straight to it, and then I'm going to show you guys the visitor journey. So what folks were doing in relation to this actual venue and that date in question. Refresh. Okay. So for the Brandon Amphitheater on May 17th, for the revival, we had these numbers, right? 12.9 thousand different folks coming. That's a large sample size. Now we want to understand what else they did, okay? We can go to trade area, understand where they came from real quick, and see that map's probably going to be a bit different than the other one for the smaller venue. But there you go with the EE map, right? So much more regional pull, like your catchment area is larger. It's across the whole state. But now we can jump into the visitor journey, okay? This is where we're going to tell you the story behind these visitors. We know how many came, how long they stayed, where they came from. And now, in relation to this, what's the economic impact of this event? What did they do right before or right after they came to this event? So this is a spider chart. It's going to give you kind of a generalization of the locations they were right before and where right after. So we're saying within the same trip, they came from their home, and a lot of them went back home. But we can actually give you all the categories of all the places they went right here. All right, so this is going to be, most folks were at this Texaco before and after. A lot of them went to the Spark by Hilton. We can surmise that that's where a lot of them were staying. But we can actually dig into the categories here. And you can say, I want to know where everybody ate right before and right after they came to this event. Did Brandon benefit? Who did benefit specifically? Now we can do it that way. So economic impact is what we're getting into here, right? We want to understand where they went to stay in the hotels. We can go ahead and take a look at that category. Okay, so a lot of folks probably dividing in from their homes. We already saw that in the spider chart, right? We're not going to show the home location specifically on this. They're obfuscated for privacy, but we're going to tell you all the other places of business out in the world that they went to before now. Okay, any questions so far? I know I'm kind of uncovering a lot here. Just want to stop and answer anything that somebody might have about what we've shown so far. We're good. Okay, so the next location here that we have that we can look at is we've got the baseball tournaments, right? We can take a look at those real quick. Let me jump to my zone. Actually, what I want to show, instead of just jumping through the same types of reports, I want to give you guys a snapshot of the actual city of Brighton, okay? Now, this is where we show real economic improvement happening, okay? And the other ones are showing events and what their impact is locally. It's great to understand who you should probably reach out to for partnerships, sponsorships, for who's coming and going after they do that property or before it. But economic impact is also great to say, should we continue some of these events? Were they a big hit? If so, where should we be marketing out to, right? That's the event side of things. But now we're looking at the entire market of Brandon. We're going to have a way to decipher between the resident population, your true out-of-market visitors, right? Folks that come in just having a good time, and And then also your non-resident business. This includes folks who come in for tourism and the ones who cannot commute. The point is, this is a segmentation of all of the audiences inside Brandon. But one thing I really like to do is I like to jump to this filtration system here. We can come up and say, we only want to understand what our residents are doing if they leave Brandon. We're able to decipher between all the categories. A lot of our city leaders want to know this first, right? Just show me the residents, okay? Let's look at what they're up to. We're going to look at the top visited places. This does take a minute to spin up, but what it's going to show us is inside Brandon, where are the top locations that folks are going to. Only the folks that live there. We can look at it in reverse and say, everybody who comes into the market, where do they go? But if anybody's familiar with the term residential leakage, we're going to study that further. Once this loads up, it's going to give us where they're going inside, but then I can apply another filter and say, show me where they go when they leave the entire market of Brandon. I'm going to give that a minute to load. This is always a waiting game. This is the largest amount of data right here. There it is. Okay, so in the market of Brandon, all the residents are primarily going to these locations. And look, we have pages and pages of the results here. But top 10 snapshot of most popular locations that the residents of Brandon frequent. Okay? We're looking at in-market only. What we can do is we can go to out-of-market. And we can say, show me where they go when they leave. Now, one success story is we've got a city, Sellers, Illinois, right? That's a city that works with us. They had a vacancy spring up. It was a fast food location. They wanted to quickly fill it with a McDonald's. This is a couple years ago, right? But they really wanted to look at Placer's data first, and when they looked at it, it showed that 40% of the residents were driving 10 miles outside their city limits to go to a Chick-fil-A. So they were able to pivot quickly, and this not only helps them know that it's not anecdotal, right? They have data in hand that proves that's where their residents are really going. They don't have to survey everybody, they don't have to guess. But more importantly, when they wanted to reach out to Chick-fil-A, they had Placer's data in hand. It's usually a golden ticket for these conversations. To start, you have nothing anecdotal, you actually have the data, and you're going by that solely. So with that data in hand, they were able to recruit a Chick-fil-A to their city in no time. It was a small city, right, like 6,000 population. But that data showed that there was demand, unmet demand, right, and that it wouldn't cannibalize any nearby stores because they were driving 10 miles outside the city. So this is actually showing us similar data to what they looked at. It's going to show us when folks leave Brandon, where do they go shop? Okay, it's going to say, maybe here's our top 10 that we could look at. If we want to start narrowing down who we should try to focus on recruiting, but now we have the data also to get them. Now, if you want to understand categories, we're able to do that everywhere in the platform. You can understand where folks are going to eat when they leave Brandon. Okay? We can understand the groceries that they're shopping at. If that's a category of interest, it's whatever your categories are that you're choosing first. You can come in here and select them. If it looks like everybody's going with Flowwood to go to Kroger, okay? Not everybody, but a good chunk. And you've got Aldi and then more Krogers. So this is some of the things that Placer can provide on the economic recruitment side of things, okay? Here we've got a few more of the daily activity metrics. And that's the macro report. We also have the retail leakage reports in here. These are the ones that are very conventional that a lot of cities request. They're also in the platform, no extra charge. Our teams will put them together for you. But if you want to be hands-on, you're able to find all that information by changing some of the filter lists. Okay? Now, another thing I wanted to jump to, and I know I'm overwhelming right now, it's a lot of information, but since we're kind of talking about the entire city's usage, we can jump to one more location that I think would be of interest to show some of our traffic data side of things. So I'll go in here. First, I'm going to pull up a traffic pin. This is something that gives us some similar data to our property report. Okay, then I'm also going to go to City Hall Live is where I was able to pull up some of the information about the traffic nearby. So we're going to look at an intersection, College Street and East and West Government Street. This was something that came up on a call I was having with their lead, Brett, Joey, and they wanted to understand what's going on at this intersection. I don't really know all the context behind that, but what we can do is we can jump to our area analysis inside any report, and if my memory serves me, I'm going to go right over here. Okay, College and Government Street, okay? So again, I don't really know exactly what it is about this intersection they want to know, Well, I'll show you all the data we've pulled. So Placer is popular for foot traffic data, but a lot of our cities are also saying we need our transportation data in there as well. So we work with a company called Penrix that feeds us all the transportation data across the country. So what we're able to do here is click into any section of road inside the city. We can click into this one, for instance. So we're on West Government. When we click into this section, it's going to basically give us half a block up to this intersection. We can go over here looking both ways. We're looking at all the traffic and saying 18,000 cars average daily volume for this one section of road. Okay, it's going to give us the times of day for the most volume. Right here, the darker the color, it's in the 1.5 thousand. But if we want to say, like a scenario could be, this could be a vacancy that popped up. We're wondering what should go here. Should it be food? Should it be breakfast? Let's first take a look at what a retailer might be looking at. If they're saying, hey, what's the morning traffic look like? Is it going east or westbound? Well, we can click A to B, right? And now we're looking from east to west. We're seeing that there's morning traffic here. From 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. it gets very dense. Now, if we look the other way, it's saying that's not the case. So it's safe to say that the morning commutes are going east to west on this road, right? Another way is to look at this section right here. So same thing. Now we're just looking at a street that's got less volume. It's got about 7,200 cars on average daily volume. But what's the northbound, southbound looking like? We can go from A to B. So from south to north, heavy morning traffic volume. North to south, very little. So we're saying that, okay, most of the morning commutes going in the morning from east to west on Government, and a lot of them turn right here. Okay, so that makes this a great spot for some sort of breakfast joint, coffee joint, whatever. That's just an example of what we can do. You can obviously click into any section you want of road within the entire city, and just understand the general vehicle volume data, okay? This is going to help you if you're trying to make some sort of improvements, adding some sort of lights there. So you got these streetscape projects coming up, into that nature. Okay, so that's our vehicle traffic data. It's anywhere you want in the entire city. And now another location that I pulled up is going to be our traffic pen. Okay, it's the final type of Placer report. There's a lot of other stuff in here. We're still kind of scratching the surface, but I'm just trying to kind of, show you guys what a robust platform can do in many different capacities. So this traffic pen, essentially, let's say you have an undeveloped piece of land somewhere that even exists in Brandon, and you guys are growing fast, but if you had a tract of land and there's no foot traffic for it, you don't have a building, we're not going to pull foot traffic out of that building. What we could do is just drop a pin right in front of it and say, look, if we're trying to recruit or reach out to developers, where do we need to begin to tell the story of the future foot traffic at this location? We drop a pin right in front of it. Now, every single vehicle that's driven by that pin for an entire year, it's going to tell us that. All right, it's going to tell us all those folks, same data we're getting before. Where do these folks like to shop? Where do they live? Where are they going right before and after this day? Got it all right here. So this one just happened to be in here. This is US 80 at Crossgate Boulevard, right? And Crossgate Boulevard. So right in front of there, we're getting 23.7 million impressions in 2025. All right? And all the other data that comes out of that. So we can look at the trade area where all these folks live. All the same information as before, much larger numbers, right? So imagine if you had these, you're going to ICSC and you're trying to reach out to developers, or you're just trying to recruit. This is the type of data you're going to want to have in hand for those discussions and narrowing down your search, right? So this is everybody who can provide this location. Much wider berth there. Okay? We can jump into even the demographics of these folks. If we don't really know where they're going when they're passing through this pin necessarily, we can understand, we know the home locations of all these people, right? So our data set companies that we partner with, they're going to tell us everything down to the census tract that these folks belong in, and all the data about them. So we've got all the demographic, household income, the genders, ethnicities of all the people coming to properties for foot traffic, but also coming past this traffic. Okay? So anything you want to look in specifically, we're able to do so right here. Now, I do understand that you recently got designated as a Main Street, right, by Mississippi Main Street. I think it was January 23rd. Congratulations for that. But this is a great place to start when it comes to trying to prove to some of those people who are making the grants or understanding, like, how are you guys improving in the community? You know, what are some of the numbers? What are we going to do if we're trying to revitalize our downtown area? Instead of just saying, we believe improvements in this section will increase foot traffic, or we believe improvements in these roads will help our Main Street. That sounds anecdotal. When you have Placer's data in hand, the talks are a lot easier, right? It's going to put you at the top of the heap when it comes to reaching out for some of those grants and just proving that you deserve to be one of the Main Street designated cities, right? So that is Placer in a nutshell, very high level overview. I know there's a lot of information to cover, but at this point, I would like to stop and ask if there are any questions about anything specific that I was unable to cover, or if you would like me to dive in deeper into anything I did cover.
Pretty scary. That's a good way to say it. You do have your whitey tighties on tonight, right?
I got a question, I suppose. Just real
That's what I'm talking about.
real quick, what kind of support do you have from, say, maybe somebody, data scientist or something like that? It's all great information we could look up and infer, but there's probably somebody in your organization or several somebodies that are professionals at looking at all this and making decisions and guiding that. Is that included, or do you have folks like that that we could tap, I guess?
Right, so that's a great question, and kind of bringing to the final conversation when you do together, right? What comes with Placer? So what does come with it, besides what we just asked, right? That's kind of actually the best thing that comes with it, but I'll cover a few things. So with Placer, you get everything I showed you here, right? You're able to add properties and ventures across every one in the entire country. I imagine it would mostly be in Brandon, but those points of interest I showed you, for a city this size, you get a limitation to those, where it's over 1,000 for a city the size of Brandon. And I will say, we have limitations in place because of maybe a big box retailer like Walmart. They may send us 10,000 locations to put in. We have manpower, we have warehouse, so we do put them in. Because of that, to be fair and equitable, we stretch it across all verticals. Nobody in the city has ever reached that limitation, right? So over 1,000, we can even get you more if you're that active, you're actually very excited you were. That comes with it. Also, there's place for extra reports, right? So this is an area that is kind of overlooked by some, but it's very useful. So sometimes you get a lot of all the information you're looking for in the platform while you're messing with everything. But you come into Placer Extra, and you're going to have those retail lead reports that talk about, right? Also, Placer Heat Map. This is very useful for a downtown area or a parks team. They want to understand which amenities or which areas folks are particularly congregating in a certain area. You can go to this heat map. So, right, you give this entire giant area, and now you understand where folks are spending most of their time within it, right, with this heat map. These are just advanced reports you have to request from our team. Again, we also have a limitation per quarter with credits, but you never run across the limitation as a civic entity. We will find a way to get you some more if you were to do so. But these are all included in the platform. Everything else I showed you, as well as unlimited seats for the entire city of Brandon. So every department, you can imagine there's a lot of use cases in here. I wasn't even able to cover, but it's very cross-departmental, very robust. We allow enterprise-wide access, right? So anybody who needs to come on board, that does come with a lot of training, a lot of folks who say, I don't know how to use this for a begin. Well, Placer comes with a customer success manager, okay? That's a consultant on our end. They handle a book of business that's very similar to yours. They're going to want to understand your pain points, your objectives and initiatives going into the year. They meet with you initially to train you, to make you as efficient on the platform as someone like myself. But then they're going to meet with you ongoing, right? Through the life of the subscription. That can be monthly, it can be bi-weekly. You can call them up and say, I need to jump on a call right now. We're going to ICSC, we need to put reports together for our team. We don't really know how to do it. Let's have a call. That's what they'll do with you, okay? Everything in here is also exportable, right? So I mean, you can put these reports together, but to answer your question, you do have somebody at your disposal at all times who's essentially an extension to any team within any department there.
That answer your question? Jeremy? Sort of, semi, almost. All right, Blake, what I did, the three things that you emailed us, I copied and made available to the board. They have that, the visitor journey thing you did, and you went through all of that, and the property overview of navigating through all that, and the pricing proposal. So I'm sure the board's going to take that, and they'll get with Joey, and we'll talk about this at our next board meeting and try to come to a decision. So on behalf of Joey and Main Street and me, board, if you have an opportunity to digest some of that over the next week or so, would appreciate some feedback on that, please. Yep. Joey, you want to add, take away?
I think Blake, he has a lot to cover, right? There's a lot of information. This is an awesome tool. I want to say in plain terms, just leave you with this. Placer It aims to, just read over my big list here, it aims to provide us database insight into how people are actually using places in Brandon, right? And there's a lot of opportunity to dig into that data, and you can see how complex it gets. So I do think it's a really cool tool that would really improve us in a lot of areas, not just my department. I think Blake hit the nail on the head when he says it's very interdepartmental and provides a lot of transparency. So that's it.
All right. Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Blake. We could kill that IT stuff and we'll be done with that. So it is, board, up to you. If we want to take 5 minutes, we'll take 5. I'd just soon move on into the agenda. You need to go get your iPad. All right, well. Pardon me? 5 minutes. 5 minutes and we'll get started with the agenda.
I was going to butcher that. He is. No.
Thank you for that article.
Yeah.
Here we go, Mark. Here we go. All right, if you would rise. Start one of our board meetings, for those that don't know, with prayer and the pledge. So, very unique time in American history. So, Alderman Harry Williams is going to pray for us, and Alderman Chris Vincent is going to lead us in the pledge. Harry?
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings you give each one of us each day of our lives. Lord, we thank you for this city. Lord, be with us tonight as we make decisions that we look to you for our guidance, our direction. Father, we thank you for our police, our fire, our first responders here and abroad, our military. Watch over them as, Lord, as they continue to do the things they do. Be with all of our leaders in the state and Washington. Watch over them, direct their paths. Once again, thank you for your Son, Jesus Christ. Forgive us of our sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Attention, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, board, audience, thank you for being here this evening, and I hope, while we were blessed and dodged a cannonball, a lot of people in Mississippi did not in that ice storm, and there's been a loss of life. And I want you to know, if you're anywhere around Brandon, that we were more than ready for it. I don't know that you can ever be totally ready for an inch of ice, but I believe our police, fire, and public works were spot on and ready for whatever came our way. All right, so let's see. At this time, we'd like to open it up and see if there's anybody here that'd like to make public comment. I have no recognitions. Good morning, you're fine. Just got to sit on the front row. All right. No one here that would like to make public comment tonight. We'll begin to work our way through the agenda. I've got some informational topics board. I'll go through very quickly. Here they are, Mr. Baker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One involves a bid, and we'll get to it last. And Matthew, I believe you have a handout, which is number 5 on here if you want to walk up here in just a minute. All right, board. We are in constant contact with Avio. That was alluded to in the work session. This is the energy transmission line that's coming in from city property. We've already handled the right-of-way from this, but this gets into their power substation on the Rankin First property. That's where it looks like. We got this last week, and you've already approved this, but I wanted to show you where it was. So it's coming across the property, still leaves room down there to build. I believe Mr. Bill Brown wants to add on to his facilities. Comes across in front of the GM plant and ties into that 109 acres out there. So that's going to be an interesting, they not knowing that ground, that's going to be an interesting lay, I can tell you. I don't know how many swamp buggies they're going to have, but it's going to be tough. Second thing, our ladder truck, there you go. So we do have a picture of the ladder truck that we've ordered. It is got some red paint on it. The big question of the day is when it's going to get here. Audience, this is an interesting thing to understand. I don't think it matters if it's a cell phone or a ladder truck or an air conditioner or anything else. It's not built until you order it and pay for it. Now, we haven't paid for it, but we have committed dollars to it in a contract. So, board, we ordered this October 17th, 2022. Total cost of this ladder truck will be a little over $2 million. We have saved $1,559,439.30, and we have a remaining amount of $653,000. This will go on the Marquette station out there. Delivery date with a question mark is sometime toward the end of April, maybe May, depending on how everything comes together. I want the audience and board to remind you that we've been saving our insurance rebate monies for this, is where that money came from. Was very pleased that MML at midwinter, when Commissioner Cheney got up, those funds are derived, audience, up to this point in time, $7 a person by population of what's in the city is what we get every year. So that's an interesting thing, and it's more interesting, board, that that's being raised to $11 per person for all municipalities in the state of Mississippi, which is big, so that'll help offset the cost. So it is possible, board, that we could write a check for this and not incur any debt at all, which is what I'd like to try to do. Don't know if we can achieve it, but that'd be a wonderful thing to be able to save money and write it for a ladder truck. This is, I made mention of this last time, the Brandon Library went down, HVAC system went down, and got a guy sitting in the back room back there. Joey, if you would just stand up so they can look at you, because I call people out sometimes. Joe D, not Joey. Joe D. Wave at everybody, Joey. I just want you to look. This guy, in the blink of an eye, he had the HVAC system back up and running. Give you an example of the work that this guy does. He's a workhorse. This is we approved the phase 2 of the City Hall renovation. You see number 1, 2, and 3, that was accomplished in one day. So we began doing demo here. All of that's going out to what used to be the donut shop. This guy does everything from finding river rocks where kids have busted the sewer line at the library, and we have a stopped up sewer system digging out rocks that kids have stuffed down a sewer tap, to City Hall digging out water lines and phones from toilets here, to mowing contracts along the highway, to weed eating, to sprinkler systems, to HVAC, to dealing now with an 18-year-old heating and cooling system in City Hall here that needs some replacement, to floor coverings, to lights in here. He changed out all of the lights we have to LEDs, saving us electricity there. Just does a great job. And I just want to say thank you, Joey. Don't stop. Keep on working. Folks, we're looking for people like Joey. Actually spent a little time in the Navy, and we're actually looking for folks with some military background. People just care about the community that they live in and draw a check from. There's been a lot of talk at the Capitol about a bill that was introduced pertaining to franchise fees, and I asked our finance director to run these numbers. This is just something that I'd like you to stick in your head. You think franchise fees don't mean a whole lot. If you look at the bottom of that, you'll see basically it's just short of $1 million every year is what comes into our general fund on franchise fees. It's not a lot of money on all these things, but it does add up to something that helps offset the cost of what we do in the general fund. Audience, all of your police, all of your fire, all of your community development, half of your public works, every bit of that comes out of the general fund. So the general fund is where all the people are. And then the enterprise fund is where some of the people are, and that's where your utilities are. So we need to protect, on behalf of MML, we were asking folks to not make a negative impact on franchise fees across the state of Mississippi. Matthew, you coming up here. Matthew has a handout for your board. We've been going over, hope that Main Street is successful in getting that $60,000 grant for downtown. But we have some pedestrian crossings that we want to make improvements are in 3 locations, not 1. The one you have in front of you, we've spoken about. I showed that to you a couple board meetings back. There you go. So Matthew, let that get all the way down, and then you can take the microphone and speak to the board about what's going on. This also involves some of the signage, which I don't like, the wayfinding signs that I think, he and I beat up on him, he beats up on me about, well, that's standard. MDOT makes you do it. And I don't know whether that's true or not, but I believe our signage and wayfinding signs need to look better than how they look currently. And he's got a plan to make them better. This is really along the lines of a flashing sign that you would hit before you tried to cross the highway. Matthew, you got the ball. Go.
Everybody got a copy of the handout? Thank you, Mayor. Jennifer Lay hit me up, I guess, a month or 2 ago about a grant. I know she talked to y'all a couple of weeks ago about it, that they're going to apply for through the Main Street Association. And the thought process was to put in a new crosswalk. If you look at the first page, 3 crosswalks that'll be in discussion here. A new crosswalk at Felicity Street, and then some improvements at the 2 existing crosswalks. The next crosswalk is there just west of the statue, and the 3rd crosswalk is down there at Timber Street. So that's where this conversation started, putting in a new crosswalk, which is going to require some geometric and curb and gutter improvements there on both sides of Highway 80. We've run this by MDOT and have gotten a verbal approval. I will tell you now, the green signs on here are supposed to be yellow. We just struggled for some reason. It would not print yellow, but where you see green, they're yellow standard pedestrian signs. But if you would, flip to the second page with me. We're going to start off west and go east along Highway 80. I'm going to try to describe to you what these improvements would be. It's real simple. The first intersection would be the new intersection, and that would be the installation of a new pedestrian crosswalk there. So take some improvements on both ends on the north side and the south side of Highway 80 for refuge area for the pedestrians to start and stop, and that will be a push button flashing yellow pedestrian crossing symbol. And if you look at the bottom of your page to the right, there's an example of what one of these kinds looks like that we just took off Google Earth. Just real simple here, just for illustrative purposes for each of you. So,
question. Mr. Baker wants to know where the flashing lights will be.
Where it's around the triangular, the sign. Yes. So at that location, that's all we're doing. We'll be putting in a crosswalk. We'll be adding that sign. Signage is important. The reason I say that is we're trying to minimize some of the signage that is downtown. So if you'll flip to the next page with me, and y'all stop me if I go too fast or I get ahead of you. If you go to the next page with me, that's the next crosswalk there by the old trust mark there west of the statue. We will be removing that existing yield here to pedestrian sign, the big white sign, and we'll be removing the yellow sign, and we'll be putting in a new, what's shown up as green there, but a new yellow flashing sign, just like the other one. So we're removing 2 sets of signs on each side and adding one, and it is a flashing sign. Push button, they push it and walk across. Everybody tracking? And then thirdly, if you'll move on to the next to the next crosswalk, same thing. We'll be removing 2 sets of signs there and adding one. Now, the one thing that I will add that MDOT wants is like 150, 200 feet east and west before you get into either one of these areas, we will be adding a pedestrian sign ahead. So where you see these pedestrian signs with the arrow pointing down, outside before you get into the area that's so congested here, there will be a sign on each end saying pedestrian, essentially pedestrian crossing ahead. So, any questions?
Thank you. So we're going to wind up with 5 signs. Go
I have
ahead,
a question. For either Matthew or Jennifer, is that grant that you're applying for, is that going to cover all this?
I don't believe that it will. The grant, I believe, is for $60,000. Run a quick cost estimate on it, and it's more than that. The great question. Their signs themselves, the best we can get estimates from Lewis Electric, are about $10,000 a piece. So that's 60 there, plus some geometric improvements, maintenance of traffic control. We'll be pushing 100. So it will not cover it all. So, something for y'all to talk about.
It is a zero match grant, though. So if the city wanted to do the full project, the city could do that, and we could get the $60,000 and have been given approval that I can be paying back for city as the payee for the project.
I'm sorry, if you get the grant. Board, I'd like to go forward with this regardless of the grant. Let's just move forward with it, and if we get the grant, that's great. But we need to go ahead and improve, especially that one at Poindexter and Felicity. We need to get on that, so I'm for moving ahead. If you are, we'll get the plans together and get it before you can get it out for bid as quick as we can.
Mayor, we also talked about those at the middle school on College Street.
That's right.
Is that a separate project?
Yeah.
I know y'all were going back and forth on that.
Yeah, I was asked to keep it separate because this money had gotten over the 60 to try to kind of tackle this once and explain it. Same concept down there, though.
But we need to put it all in one bid package and bid it, and then if we get the grant, it'll just offset the cost of it.
So I would say if you're going to make a motion tonight to go ahead and put it together, then if that's the case, if y'all want to do that.
All right, we'll add it to the agenda. We'll write it, Alex, if you would, remember that, make a note that we'll write in something to move forward with pedestrian lighting at the crosswalks in downtown on College Street and Highway 80. That would be, is it 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5?
Be 5.
Five.
It's 2 on College, right? It's a 2 or 3.
3 on Highway 80.
It's at least 2.
Yes, going
It's
to
at
the
least 2.
office.
Yeah.
2.
It's 5.
5. 2 on College, 3 on Highway 80.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do that tonight.
Thank you.
Get to work. All right. Board, the last thing I got in front of you is a bid. I don't have the letter in front of you, but Matthew and I have talked about this, and Matthew and Mr. Baker have talked about this. The low bidder in this car, he was called, the company was called, and yeah, we want to do it and all this kind of stuff. Well, evidently his estimator was a little bit off and hadn't calculated properly. So they're asking to back out of that, and we need to go to the second bidder on here, and I need to make you aware of that. You've got it in front of you there on the screen. Here's a letter here. I need to make that part of the record here. Mr. Baker, you want to go, are you trying to follow up with this or this?
I'm doing what you did, get ready for the add-in.
All right, well, now we're on the bid. That's it. Okay, so do I need to say anything else, or you want to talk about that bid that they're retracting?
No, I mean, they're going to have to make very specific findings in the minutes that the action of the contractor constitutes an honest mistake. Let's see, an honest and substantial mistake, and that the city accepts that, and then can either decide to accept the next bid, since they weren't rejected, they were only the one that was accepted, or to rebid the project.
Matthew, you want to speak to this right quick? I just would soon handle this now, and kind of as we're working through these issues rather than bogging down.
That requires a separate standalone item with findings as we get to it. It'll be an add-in in Public Works or wherever you want to.
All right. You want to add anything to what I said, Matthew?
I really don't have to add anything to it, Mayor, but I'll reiterate what the mayor said. They made a mistake with their bid. We reached out to them after the bid, before we brought it to y'all last board meeting to award it. Their estimator had said, no, that's fine, we wanted it, and once the owner got a hold of it, when he got ready to sign contracts this week and execute them, he said, well, time out. I didn't realize this, we'd like to request to get out of it, so.
All right. So we'll have those findings when we get to that, and in Public Works. I just want to make it short and sweet, okay? Okay. Good. All right, moving on through the agenda. Here we go. All right, need a motion to approve the work session and regular board meeting minutes of January 20th, 2026.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sharon Womack, second by Mr. Jared Crane. Any comment on those? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, board. Under the mayor, number 1, consideration to approve the need for a local emergency as declared and proclaimed by the mayor on January 23rd, 2026. Following the state on that. Again, we dodged the cannonball. Very blessed in that regard. Number 2, consideration to approve the events concession price increase for food and beverages. Authorize mayor to execute all related documents and amend the budget accordingly. Our events concession folks met with Brown Bottling this past week. There are price increases everywhere. Sugar costs more, water costs more, and all that. It's important now that we get this taken care of, board, because we need to get signage up at the amphitheater that Jody's working on, so we need approval of that. Number 3, consideration to approve a sole source contract to Academic Tech Incorporated for an upgrade to the AV equipment at the amphitheater and authorize mayor to execute the same. I met Philip Boyd out there, and he showed me 3 or 4 things. It's just like software that we're talking about with OpenGov. Some of the systems we have, some of that technology is 9 years old. It's in there. About half of it needs to be replaced. Those funds would come out of the amphitheater operational fund, and we've got that to handle that. So none of that's a problem. So if there's not a question on any of those 3 items, we'd appreciate a motion to approve those items.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Chris Vinson, second by Ms. Jerry Crane. Any comment or question on those 3? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Board. Ms. Mary Ann. What's your name?
Good evening, everyone. May I take these together? Number 1.
Go ahead.
Consideration to close the bank account titled House Bill 1353 at Community Bank. The various infrastructure projects pertaining to this House bill have been completed. Number 2, consideration to close the following bank accounts at Community Bank. These accounts have 0 balances and their projects have been completed. The 2018 bond, the Rankin bond proceed, the Kennedy sidewalk. Number 3, consideration to accept Community Bank as the provider of credit card terminals and transactions for the City of Brandon. Another quote was received from Fiserv. Number 4, consideration to approve the quote from Metro Building Services to purchase 2 new VFD for HVAC, unit number 1 and number 2 at City Hall in the amount of $19,542. An additional quote was received for maintenance services in the amount of $20,912. Number 5, consideration to approve a professional services invoice from Engineering Resource Group, Inc. for bid document preparation for the library chiller replacement project in the amount of $14,715.16. Authorize the mayor to execute all related documents and authorize the finance director to make all the necessary budget amendments. Number 6, consideration to approve Candace Hunley to attend the 2026 Spring Municipal Clerks Conference in Starkville, Mississippi, and authorize payment of registration fees and all related travel expenses. Number 7, consideration to approve the disposal of I-9 forms in compliance with the State of Mississippi's records retention schedule. Number 8, consideration to approve the docket of claims and Fox Everett claims. Number 9, presentation of quarterly reports for the quarter ending December 2025 as filed with the State of Mississippi Department of F&A. And these are 2 Senate bills, 2 House bills, and 2 most documents.
Thank you, Mary Ann. And Sharon picked up on number 5. What's in the description is not the same number. That is 14,700 in the...
Yeah.
Did I type in the wrong amount?
Yeah, the memo is what matches on here, but the letter from Engineering Resource is 14,700.
Oh, it is a little off.
It was not 14,715.16.
Okay, so do I just need to make it 7, put the right amount in?
14,700.
Okay, thank you.
Per the memo. All right. Okay, so we got 9 items. Bless you. Motion approved by Mr. Harry Williams, second by Sharon Womack. Any further question or clarification on those 9? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. Mr. Baker, you want to go back to one early on the mayor on number 3, improving the...
So this is sole source, so Tracy, and where's the sole source letter and all that? I don't have any information on that in the agenda. Is it here that I missed it, or?
Yeah.
Okay, what is this? Why? How is it a sole source?
Because it's existing equipment, it's an upgrade to the existing equipment.
That was installed by Academic Technology.
Well, I mean, they're the only ones that can do that? wasn't it bid? Okay.
Kind of like Tech Source here in the back of the room. All right. Okay, here we go. All right, thank you, boy. Alex? Harry and Sharon.
Good evening, Mayor, Board.
Good evening. You got 10 items. You're going to go all the way through. I know one we have to have some findings on. That ad. So you want to go through those 10? We'll take that one as number 11?
Yeah.
Good with you, Mark? Okay.
Take 10 together?
Okay. Just do, yes, go all the way through 10, and then we'll add number 11. Okay?
1, consideration to approve the purchase of one 2026 F-350 cab and chassis truck in the amount of $58,945.20 from Gray Daniels Auto Group. Number 2, consideration to approve the purchase of one truck bed for said F-350 truck in the amount of $13,458 from Lewis Trailer Sales. Number 3, consideration to approve the attached railroad contract from Meridian Speedway LLC and authorize the mayor to execute the same, and authorize payment of the contract fee in the amount of $9,375 for the Highway 80 Railroad Sewer Improvements Project. 4, consideration to approve the supplemental agreement 2 at an increase of $15,926.56 in the amount in the project amount from Thornton Construction Company for the Grants Ferry Parkway Shared Use Path LPA project, and authorize the mayor to execute the same. 5, consideration to approve change order 3 from Griner Drilling Service to add 526 calendar days to the contract time for the Cornerstone Water Well project, and authorize the mayor to execute the same. 6, permission to allow Benchmark Engineering to develop plans and permission to advertise for bid the Highway 18 Rankin First Waterline Extension Project. Number 7, consideration to award the bid in the amount of $510,087 to BLD Services for the 2024 Diamond Emerald Sewer Rehabilitation Project as the lowest and best bid received. 8, consideration to award the bid in the amount of $734,812, including bid alternate 1 to Thornton Construction Company for the Heights Drive roadway and drainage improvement projects as the lowest and best bid received. 9, consideration to award the quote in the amount of $43,300 to Jose Sierra LLC for the Marquette Road Sewer Extension Project as the lowest and best quote received. And 10, consideration to approve and deny the utility adjustments pursuant to the memo.
Go ahead.
I'm looking through my packet. I don't have any of that. I don't know what happened. I don't have the quotes for the vehicles. I don't have the agreement for the railroad. I don't have the supplemental agreement for I don't have the change order.
I'm not sure I have it all. Does nobody else has it?
I don't have it.
I have what I printed from Civic, but I'll get that to you, Mark. I mean, I have it all right here if you want to review it.
Do you have it?
Which one would you like to see?
I don't have any of them. So
Okay.
I'm sorry. I start at downtown revival. For you, I start at downtown revitalization projects.
Which agenda are you looking at?
I got a community bank. I got Benchmark Engineering and Surveying on a Dining Street in Poindexter new parking lot.
Oh, that's an old agenda. That's a very old agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got that
What
parking
was
lot
sent
now.
to me.
Mark.
I saw it. Sorry. Okay.
Sorry. That's a good example of the volume of stuff that these board members and board attorneys, that we're dealing with. It's incredible.
I'm sorry. Okay, obviously, I can't sit here and look at all of it now, so whatever y'all want to do, it's fine.
It's in there electronic, so I don't know what happened here. Something got crossed up somewhere. All right. Comments on those 10. Number 3, board, that is sewer line along Highway 80 there. That's the bridge replacement. We've been told that the Highway 80 bridge job has out for bid, probably be awarded in May, and I can just tell everybody in the city, you can get ready. When that bridge comes down, probably be awarded in June. I don't know if it'll go into construction by the end of the year. Yeah, well, you might want to move out of town. That's a major improvement, taking those 2 bridges out and putting 1 bridge back over the railroad tracks. Number 5, comment on the well. I believe we hope to get it
tomorrow.
Hope to get it active tomorrow. We'll see how that goes tomorrow. Last thing on number 7, board, just to give you an idea, I know sometimes we all want to do that. It's not you, it's us. We all want to placate and try to figure out prioritizing things. It's taken 3.5 years to get that sewer line on North Street to where it's at now, ready to go. And it just, sometimes it's arduous and a journey to get there, but that's a CDBG grant. That's an 80-20 grant. That 20% comes out of our enterprise fund. But got to get that done. All right, so board would entertain a motion for 1 through 10. Yes, sir, you got a question? Sure. No, that's the street behind Trustmark Bank to go around to Highway 80 by the police department. Again, that's another one. Audience took forever and 5 days. It took 1.5 years to get the property from Energy, which they own the street going by the police department, to get all that ironed out and a lot of other stuff. But that's that street. That's going to be paid for out of project money that we have set aside from the legislature.
Hey, Mayor. Hey, I got one more question, Mayor.
Sure.
Back to the bridge closing.
All right, back to the bridge closing.
What's the predicted construction?
I know.
Once it's the predicted construction time?
I don't have any. They'll come to us when they award it. Whoever gets that contract will come to us. They'll be looking for a lay-down yard, and we'll progress through traffic. MDOT will be heavily involved in that, as with the railroad, but there'll be very specific timelines and that kind of stuff. So as soon as I get anything, you're going to get it, because it's going to be very invasive to us. Most of that bridge stuff, as we learned the last 2 times we did something, are prefabbed. They're trucked in and put up, and it happens a lot faster than you think. It's the deconstruction of it, tearing it down, that tends to get a little hairy sometimes. All right, we got a motion by Harry Williams, a second by Mr. Lou Coker. Any further question on any of those 10 before we take on number 11? All right.
Matthew, I haven't looked at this railroad agreement. Where's Matthew?
Sir?
Did they do the language about the insurance that we don't have?
Well, most of the insurance is on the contractor. They're doing it, since it's been joined up, CPKC now, it's a little different than it was before with KCS. We've been battling with it for 6 months on it, but the insurance is really the contractor now.
Okay.
And MDOT did a great job working for us to get that done, too.
Yes, sir. I will say they're taking the bids on that job tomorrow.
Oh, they're opening those bids tomorrow? I'll try to get that and text it to you, board. We'll see who the low bidder is and whatever data I can get on the cost of that. Significant improvement for the city. All right, got a motion by Mr. Harry Williams, second by Mr. Luke Coker. Any further question on 1 through 10? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, board. All right, number 11, Mr. Baker, we've got on this.
Benchmark and prepare plans and specifications for 3 crosswalks on Highway 80 and 2 crosswalks at the middle school. Is that right?
That's 1, yeah. So I guess we're going to have.
So there's a 12.
I guess we're going to have 12. Let's take care of that one first. So that one, the crosswalks, is 2 on College Street. by the Brandon Middle School, and 3 on Highway 80 downtown, Poindexter,
I didn't identify.
Black Street, and Timber Street, if you want to be specific. But 5 crosswalks with lighted, pedestrian lighted warning signs, something along that line. So we'll take that one separately. Is there a motion to approve that? Motion by Mr. David Ferris, second by Mr. Chris Benson. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Board. Now, the next one is the bid that was submitted from Barnett Concrete Work on a multi-use path on Marquette Road. That concrete job, get that in. So findings would be,
Find and determine that the Barnett Concrete Work LLC bid submittal with regard to the Marquette Road multi-use path in the amount of $235,021.14 was an error, and that the error was
Honest and material.
then the next step is what the board wants to do.
the owner's estimator, I believe, didn't calculate in sales tax, so there was an error by the estimator. And when the owner got a hold to it, he realized it and said, oh, no, we can't do that. So I don't think we want anybody working for us that doesn't want to be working for us. So I would entertain a motion to do 2 things, reject that, and then award the next bidder on the list. We have not rejected those bids, so those bids are still good. I say it okay?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Y'all had already awarded it previously. Y'all need to rescind that board action?
Well, first we're finding and determining as well, okay?
So I'm taking care of Barnett first. Okay? So is there a motion to rescind that?
Withdrawal.
Motion by Mr. Chris Benson, second Mr. Jared Crane. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Board, I'd like to move through and award that to the next lowest bidder on that bid, which you got it in front of you somewhere. I can't remember.
It's Simmons Erosion Control Incorporated.
You got it in front of you on the screen.
Second.
Second. All right, got a motion by Ms. Sharon Womack and a second by Mr. Jared Crane. Any comment, question? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you, Board, for working through that.
Let me back up, make sure I got everything correct. First action is to try to determine the Barnett Concrete Work bid, the Marquette Road multi-use path included an honest and substantial mistake, and that the board authorizes the withdrawal of the same, right?
Correct.
And the second action is to award it back to Simmons Erosion.
Correct. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Board.
All right. Joe E. So both Joey and Joe D, good employees. Need
I
more.
really hate I stood up for that. I took that away from this man. He does work hard, so deserves all the accolades. Joe D.
That's 2 people standing up to do good work.
Well,
Go ahead.
Thank you. A little louder for the mic, please. Do we want to take each, we have each one separately? Okay, that's fair. Well, number 1, consideration to receive and file the Planning Commission minutes dated January 27th, 2026 for informational record purposes only. I want to make sure that this, everyone knows this action does not constitute approval of the Planning Commission minutes because you guys weren't there, right? So it's just for record keeping, and being that we're pushing development review through the Planning Commission as an advisory board to you guys, we thought it was appropriate. You at least had the minutes of how that went, so. One at a time, I guess. Sharon? Sir.
I don't see any. I agree.
Okay. All of them? All right, all the way up to 1 through 3 then. Consider approval of the development review application. This is case number 25007, submitted by Vio Digital for the Avayo Digital Tourist Project. Number 3, consider approval of the development review application and alternative compliance request for the Shops of Greenfield project. This is case number 24001, in accordance with the staff memo.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve those 3 items?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Chris Benson, second by Mr. Jared Crane. Any comment, thoughts? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you, board. All right, number 4.
All right, number 4, this is a discussion-only item, no motion today, unless the board wishes to do so. This is just to give you an update, next steps proposed for the zoning ordinance revisions that we've been working through for quite a while. Ms. Gray with CMPDD, her family, her whole household is down due to the flu. I said I think we'd all appreciate it if she didn't show up tonight, but she did provide an email. She requested that I would read it. And, of course, I lost it, didn't I? Here we go. On the next steps and the things that we need to do, the first, and I agree with her here, if there are no additional revisions, and if the board, as she used the word pleased, content, okay with, the proposed draft, she and myself will begin to work on and prepare a final draft ready for the public review, which is essentially removing the red lines, right? And removing the text that's been proposed and marked for deletion. She proposes, her professional opinion, she gave 3 options, and again, I would like to move this forward as quick as possible, but I understand there may be some questions. Option 1, this is the as soon as possible action. So on the next board meeting, I propose to, on the agenda to vote to set a public hearing on March 2nd. This is real quick. And approve advertisement for publication on February the 11th. This provides that 15-day period that's required by law, and give, if anybody asks, we can provide them the actual finalized revisions. So, or red lines anyway. Option 2, moving with a bit of pace, she says. Again, February 2nd or the 17th, we could set a public hearing for March 16th and approve the advertisement for publication on February 25. And we can ask for the Planning Commission's recommendation prior to that date for both. And then the third, which is a little longer and not preferred, action on March 2nd to vote, set a public hearing on April 6th, 2026. Advertise for publication March 11th or the 18th. And then the public hearing then to be held April 6th, which again, preferably not that far out, so we can have a plan moving forward.
Mr. Burnett, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation is the former option 1, as soon as possible, which would be to set a public hearing on March 2nd, approve advertisement on February 11th, then seek the Planning Commission's recommendation prior to that hearing. And, the board, could recess or extend or whatever they need to after they hear public hearing. But yeah, that's option 1 is my recommendation.
All right. You looking for board approval in that?
Sir?
Are you looking for board approval to move forward?
It was only intended to be a discussion item. I will say, if I may, Mayor, our moratorium for the BTR language is close to expiring, so we'll have to extend that soon too. If we don't
explain that to the board, just to, keep us all caught up.
So in August, I believe it was August the 4th. It was the August hearing anyway, the first one of that month. We extended a moratorium, which allowed a path through, a moratorium on all residential development with a path forward if they provided BTR language in their covenants to limit those that built to rent type of developments. That was originally done in March, I believe March 6, 2023. Extended 12 months, extended 6 months, and then extended 6 months again in August. So in February this month, it does expire again. So we either need to extend, probably need to extend anyway, to ensure there's no lapse.
All right, can you have that on the next agenda?
I plan to have that on the next agenda anyway, yeah.
All right, board. So if y'all good, we will move forward with recommendation from community development, publicizing.
I think there's a lot of work to still be done, in my opinion.
Okay, board. Anybody Anybody else? All right. Could we get a list of the work that needs to be done?
Absolutely. My concerns.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that's it then.
All right, so get us a list. All right, Chief.
We didn't take them.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I've got 5 items. Can I take one by itself and 2 through 5 together?
I'm sorry. All right, here we go. Chief, so we're going to take number 1 by itself?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, number 1 is conduct a public hearing on February 2nd, 2026 regarding the pit bull variance application submitted by Mr. John Anderson.
All right, Mr. Baker.
So this is not, we've gotten into the variance, the public hearing process as a means to give the board all of the information that they need relative to that. The ordinance doesn't actually require it, but this seems to be the better way to do it. Can you advise the board as to whether or not you review the application and the application meets the requirements of the ordinance?
I've reviewed the application. Mr. Anderson has fulfilled the requirements of the ordinance as far as the outdoor kennel with the concrete fencing and everything. The only thing that he hasn't provided yet was the insurance information, because the ordinance actually specifies that the insurance company prepare a letter addressed to the city of Brandon specifying the amount of insurance that was carried. He did provide a umbrella policy showing that he has personal liability for a certain amount of money, which I believe exceeds the limit that the city requires. And then he submitted me another letter basically where he was inquiring to USAA about renter's insurance for pet liability insurance. But I never got the letter saying that he specifically has insurance that will cover the pet if the dog does bite somebody.
Right. The ordinance actually requires that the letter actually provide information and refer to the dog itself, correct?
Correct.
All right, that's 1461, I think. Is that correct? I noticed that as well, that there seemed to be a gap in that. Other than that, and obviously contingent on that, is there anything else? Did you inspect the yard? Did it appear to be secure?
Yes, we inspected the yard. The kennel he built was secure. I spoke with 3 of the neighbors around the house. None of the neighbors had an issue with the dog. One neighbor said that she didn't want to see the dog as she was walking around the block, and that was it.
Okay. All right, so in just a second, just want to clear it up. We need an original letter from the homeowner's insurance company addressed to the city, 1, in knowledge of the insurance company of the presence of the dogs at the insured address by name or other identification method, and that the insurance is in force and effect. And that the insurance provides liability coverage for injuries to persons or property caused by the dogs, and that in the event the insurance is canceled or non-renewed. Actually, I think that information was in there about being canceled or non-renewed, but those elements are necessary to be in compliance with the application. And you've spoken to the neighbors, and have you prepared a memo, and would you like that to be appended to the minutes of this hearing?
I have.
Okay, and just give that to the clerk if you will. And is there anyone here who desires to make any public comment with regard to the application from Mr. John Anderson? Is Mr. John Anderson here? Not here?
I see none.
Okay. Are there any of the neighbors that are here tonight that would like to speak on it? Is there anyone here that likes to provide any public comment with regard to it? Is your recommendation to hold any action on the proposed application pending receipt of the information requested with regard to the insurance?
I would.
Okay. All right. And Mayor, I would just say just table it until we get further information with regard to the application. The motion would be to table consideration of the application until receipt of information as required by the ordinance and requested by the chief.
So I have a question. When we find a situation like this, what do we do in the meantime?
In the meantime, I've talked to him and pretty much told him that the dog we don't need to have any issues with the dog. I don't know who initially initiated the complaint on it, but going through this process, none of the neighbors around them seemed to have a complaint. There was one issue, I believe, when the dog was chasing another dog down the road, and that may have been what initiated this. But it's one of those issues that if y'all vote and tell him that he can't have the variance, I've got to go over there and tell him he can't have the dog.
Well, since this situation.
Technically, to answer your question, the dog needs to not be here.
Well, yeah, we have another situation in Easttown.
Right, no.
So, I mean.
To have that dog, you have to get a variance and it has to be approved. So technically, until that happens, the dog needs to not be here.
So since this came up, I've talked to several people, and they have said that dog has chased people, and he has stood in the yard while it chased people on the opposite side of the street over there, on the main street, whatever that is. So it's not staying in a kennel.
I haven't found anybody that said anything else. I mean, if you'd like to have those people come to me, I'd gladly take their information.
No, I mean, I've talked to some people around, so.
Okay.
It's not staying in the kennel 24/7.
Okay, so we're looking right now, unless there's other action that we need, we're tabling this, is that right? Mr. Baker? So I need a motion to table this until more information is received. Motion to table by Ms. Sharon Womack, second by Ms. Jerry Crane. Any further comment, question? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you, board. All right, Chief.
All right, number 2, request consideration to approve the following officers for travel. Sergeant Connor Smith and K-9 Kelly, Officer Cody Molds and K-9 Hassan to travel to Madison, Mississippi on March 9th through 13th of 2026 to attend the USPCA Region 26 K-9 certification class. Class will be funded by the department's training budget. And for Sergeant Robert Wells to travel Columbus, Mississippi on March 4th through 6th, 2026 to attend the Glock MOS class. The hotel and class will be funded by the department's training budget. Number 3, request consideration to hire Joshua LaFleur as communications officer effective February 3rd, 2026, and set his rate of pay in accordance with the memo. If you would, Josh, stand up, wave at the board, please. I can't see him back there. Number 4, accept the resignation of Officer DeMarcus Adams effective February 13th, 2026. Officer Adams came to me a couple months ago, told me that he had a lifelong dream of being a highway patrolman and did the right thing, went through the process, and I told him that we would support him in helping him achieve that goal. And so we wish him the best as he goes through the trooper school coming up. Number 5, consideration to amend the action taken on January 20th board meeting regarding the increase of pay in Lane McTaggart as a result of attaining an educational benchmark.
All right. So items 2 through 5, is there a motion to approve those?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Sharon Womack, second by Ms. Jerry Crane. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, board.
Good evening.
Good evening, Chief.
I'm going to take item number 2 first tonight, sir, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
Consideration to remove from our payroll roster the following part-time firefighters effective February 3rd, 2026. We have oil resignation. I can't talk. I apologize, Pepper. I haven't talked in 3 hours now, so my tongue's getting tired. Oil resignations from all 3 of them. They all moved on to different positions in their other jobs and can't fulfill the time to meet with us to work. Item number 1 is request consideration to hire Connor Allen, John Clark, Aiden Swells, effective February 3rd, 2026, and Emmanuel Cintron, effective February 16th, and set rate of pay in accordance with the memo.
You want to get those gentlemen sworn in tonight?
Yes, sir, please.
Are they all here?
Yes, sir, they are.
All right. Is there a motion to approve those 2 items? Motion by Mr. Luke Coker, second by Ms. Sharon Womack. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. If you would bring them down, and we'll take care of that right now.
Up here.
All right. What we'll do is you have to vote to go and get a second, and the board vote on it.
I got
Four.
There were no votes taken in executive session.
All right, no votes taken in executive session. Need a motion to adjourn until, look, the next holiday is if I got my dates wrong, the 19th is President's Day.
It's 2 weeks from today, but you're right.
So we'll meet on Tuesday. Okay, so Monday will be President's Day, 2 weeks from now. I believe
So we're meeting on the 17th.
17th?
Yes, 16th to 17th. 16th the holiday.
All right, so we'll meet on the 17th. So
okay.
we'll adjourn. Motion?
Motion.
Second? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, board.
Man. I don't know, man.